Hello everybody, how's it going, and welcome back to the As Always podcast, episode 132. I'm one of your hosts, James, and I'm joined, as always, by Tyler.
As always, how's it going, my friend?
It's going pretty well, how you doing?
Yeah, doing well. Excited to be here, as always.
Wonderful, fantastic. And today we're joined by fan favourite guest, RobinGaming. Welcome back, Robin. How's it going?
What's up? Doing good, how about you?
Yeah, nice. Very
Back
good.
after his triumphant return after breaking all the records last time.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah,
oh,
that's
yeah.
pretty... But I think that had more to do with Assassin's Creed than it did with me, honestly.
No
Hey, look,
way.
I disagree. It might have, but let's put it this way. The following week we had all the four pillars on and also talked about Assassin's Creed, and it still didn't beat it.
Oh, okay.
You got close. It's the second most listened to episode of all time. Yours is the first. Most listened to podcast we've ever done over all our podcast episodes.
Then it must have been the amazing Uncharted 2 versus 3, rant.
That's what I was telling James. I was saying that's what it was.
Yeah.
Over the newly announced Assassin's Creed game. But I'd take it. I'd take all the credit on that if I were you.
I will do that.
I'm excited to be here. There's a lot we've got to get through today. But before we do that, I've got to thank the great producers of this show. Head over to patreon.com/as always. If you like what you're listening to here and you want to hear more, for just $1 a month, you can get exclusive access to the Clubhouse podcast, the best podcast on the internet. Every week, this podcast isn't released. Plus, early access to the Cinema Room podcast, the Spoilercast podcast we do on video games, movies, TV shows. We just released a Ghost of Tsushima episode, so go check that out after listening to this podcast. Alright, so to thank our producers that make the show happen, we have King Richard III, Josh, Duh Vil Yay, Damian, Olberik, Avry Dobbs, Cat94, Nick the Gaming Prick, Real Cinema, Colton the Creampie King, and Ballsack47, the fucking liar and deceiver. Thank you, Sweet Vintage Lads, for helping power this podcast and making the show exist. We wouldn't be here without you, literally. Maybe not literally. Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, let's get into it. Robin, what's been happening? How have you been doing over the last few months since we last spoke?
Doing pretty good, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about now with the whole PlayStation thing going on, of course. But it has been a weird year in general, though, with even though we've known all this time that the next-gen consoles were coming out, it's been overall pretty quiet, right? Because I remember, last time we talked, I think they hadn't even really shown us anything yet. So now at least we know some good information, so there'll be quite a lot to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. There's is there some big projects in the works from you or anything happening on your channel end right now?
So I've kind of been slacking on YouTube, I gotta say. I'm more into Twitch these days, it seems. But
wow.
I was I had a couple of things recently. They announced the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War game, right? And that got me to, just for some reason, I don't know, I just wasn't kind of expecting it, that it would be so reminiscent of, the very first Black Ops game. And so I got kind of nostalgic, and I replayed that whole game, and I was thinking about making a video about that. And then all this PlayStation news came in between, so now I'm, doing something with that again. So I kind of had to, put, that project on hold, I guess. But I'll be doing, basically a video about the PlayStation 5, and then also about the original Black Ops very soon, so...
Nice.
Wow. Yeah, nice. Now, so you guys have you both played that Black Ops Cold War Alpha, Beta, whatever the fuck they were calling it?
I'm playing it right now, yeah.
How is it? See, I'm absolutely not a Call of Duty guy. The last one I'd played was, I think I did play the campaign for the first Black Ops, and then I didn't play another Call of Duty until the latest Modern Warfare, and I played the campaign, streamed it, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can go first though, James.
It's I streamed it the other day, and it was really good fun. I wasn't expecting it to be as sort of fun as it was. I think there's a lot of changes they've made from Modern Warfare that makes it a lot more engaging to play. I think that there were some flaws with the multiplayer of Modern Warfare that just made it, I don't know, sort of bogged it down and didn't really play into the strengths of Call of Duty. And I think that this alpha shows that they've really worked on that for this game. And I think it feels like a Call of Duty game should. And I think it's incredibly fun, from map design to the way they've managed weapons and stuff. I think it's really, really good. And honestly, it sold me on probably picking up the game when it drops, because I wasn't sure whether I was going to, but I had a lot of fun on stream with everybody playing it the other day, so I'm probably going to pick it up, to be honest. It was a good time.
See, for me, it's really weird because I am like one of the few people that would say I buy Call of Duty these days literally for the single player. I don't even really care that much for the multiplayer at all, because the multiplayer is just kind of the same thing every year, you know what I mean? Even though, yeah, there are differences and stuff, and like you said, it does in some ways feel a bit different from, like, you know, Modern Warfare last year and stuff. Overall, it still comes down, in my opinion, you know, to, like, yeah, the same thing, essentially. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm still having fun with it. I just play it, you know, Call of Duty multiplayer is just like casual fun to me. So what I'm mainly looking forward to is the single player, because I actually really, with Black Ops particularly, it's been this very strange sort of road where, like, when the original Black Ops came out, that single player I actually thought was really awesome at the time. And then Black Ops 2 also, they decided to go in like a completely different direction. Suddenly it was futuristic, but they still had this like crazy, you know, branching story and stuff with different endings. And it was like, I don't know, they did a good job with those. And then like it had gotten to the point where for me, I basically consider Treyarch to be my favorite Call of Duty developer at that point. But then it's like they tumbled off a cliff or something, because Black Ops 3 single player was absolutely atrocious. And then the fourth one didn't even have a single player anymore, you know what I mean? So it had just like, that's I guess what surprised me about Black Ops Cold War, is that when they released the trailer, and again it felt so reminiscent of that original Black Ops in terms of the vibe, and like how you have these elements coming back with like, oh, the president of the United States plays a role in it, you know, this time being Reagan and stuff, and you hear the soundtrack from the 80s and things like that. Like, I don't know, I just really love the vibe and stuff, and just, yeah, what I saw in that trailer. So that's what I'm mainly looking forward to. And then the multiplayer is just cool on the side for me, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Black Ops always had a great story. And I hope this one lives up to it, because I always felt that Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 as well, like you said, it's both of them were so strong. I hope that this game is similar in a sense. Like, it was always sort of based around like this mystery and like unraveling the story.
Yeah.
And as well, they've said this one's it's not like Modern Warfare where it's like a rebooted universe. It's set in the same universe, but it's like between the two or whatever. Or like it's a sequel to Black Ops 1 or something, right? So that's interesting.
You know what is weird to me though about that? Like, yeah, they do treat it really like a sequel to the original, but for some reason they've replaced like some of the voice actors and stuff, and I just don't understand it. Like Woods, you know, is like one of the best characters, and apparently he still had like, see, I don't even know, because I didn't even really play again Black Ops 3 and 4 anymore, but apparently he was still in those, like in the multiplayer or something, or zombies or whatever, I don't even know, but like they still gave him you know, the opportunity to be the voice actor in those games, and for some reason now they replace him. It makes no sense to me, but yeah, I'll just have to take that for what it is, I guess. Yeah.
There's something else that we talked about last podcast that I've been dying to bring this up since we last talked about it, Robin, was The Last of Us Part 2. So last time you were on the podcast, the leaks had come out, but the game had not. Now, I'll say this, spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2 if you are yet to play it. So check the timestamp, skip a few minutes if you don't want to know anything. But Robin, what was your thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2? And you had seen the leaks. We hadn't seen the leaks. You had seen all the leaks. What was sort of your feelings at that time before the game came out, before you get into the after the fact?
Man, it's been like a couple months already, right? It's weird because with The Last of Us 2, yeah, I feel like it's kind of come and went, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I just haven't even really thought about it much anymore. I guess, like, well, again, the thing is that with The Last of Us, there's a lot of like dedicated fans for that game, right? And people know me as sort of like a Naughty Dog fan in general or something, right? So people have these expectations of me to like be really involved with it. But I was never as involved with The Last of Us as I was with Uncharted. So I never felt like that sort of personal attachment to it as I did with Uncharted either, right? I liked the original game a lot, and therefore when I saw the leaks of the second game, I did sort of like agree mostly with the people that were kind of underwhelmed by it, and I could totally see it, you know what I mean? Because yeah, of course, spoilers, but like Joel dies in the beginning and stuff like that, and that's like a very bold decision, right? And then to also have you play as like a completely different character for the second half of the game, the character that literally kills him and stuff like that, all of that stuff seemed like a very... I mean, I kind of expected that they would do something crazy with it, I guess, but still, when you see what it is, it's just not what you thought it would be, or so completely, you know, such a crazy idea at first that, like, yeah, you don't really know what to make of it, right? And so I played the game, and, you know, I still thought it was fine. I didn't... I think you both really liked it, right? I'm not sure, honestly, anymore, but...
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I thought it was... yeah, I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was, I guess. I found it mostly just a very fascinating game for the decisions that they made, of course. But I didn't necessarily love it or hate it. I wasn't really in either camp, you know, because it seems like it's really kind of divided people, right? To either be one or the other. I'm really kind of neither. Like, also with certain characters, there are some people that absolutely fucking hate Abby, right? Because, oh, she kills Joel and stuff like that. And then there's some people that like love the shit out of her and think that she's an amazing character. And I'm just kind of like, you know, I understand her motivations, I guess. I understand what they were trying to do with the game. It didn't necessarily resonate with me a lot or something like that. I just thought it was kind of like I said, it came and went for me, honestly. I enjoyed the game, but it didn't make the impact for me personally that Naughty Dog games used to kind of make in the past. So, but, you know, that's just me.
That's fair enough. I can see that, and I think I could tell during the podcast that we did last time that you weren't happy, and that's why I was getting scared. Because I remember saying like, "Dude, don't fucking say shit. I don't want to know. I want to at least be excited. I want to have that excitement and everything." And I did going into it. But I was like freaking out, having this like panic, going like, everyone fucking hates it. What's going on? Like, what happens in this game that does that? And I remember playing the first like like Joel dying. I was like totally the correct decision. Because
you think, yeah,
100%. I was so on board the moment it happened. Like, I liked the first Last of Us a lot, but I'm like you, completely love Uncharted. I think all the Uncharted games are better than The Last of Us 1. In my opinion, I'd much prefer them. I'm not a big zombie guy. I like the characters, I like the story, but just overall, like playing through it. And I also played it after playing Uncharted 4. So it was a bit like, in comparison, how Naughty Dog games became as I played those Uncharted games, one after the other. I was like, oh my God, this is a bit of a step back. So it really was the story that had to stand out, and it did, but overall not as much. And you're dealing with zombies. Uncharted, you're dealing with like puzzles and history and just environments I preferred. Anyway, but I jump into The Last of Us Part 2 and I think to myself, why do I care? Like, what? Like, I like these characters, but what are we doing here? Like, why is there a sequel? And then when Joel gets killed, I was traumatized. Like, when the scene's happening, I'm sitting on my computer like, what the fuck's going on? I had to like pause the game afterwards. I went into my garage and like did a boxing session because I was so angry. Like, I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill Abby. I have to kill her. I can't wait for this. Like, I was just furious. But at the same time, I loved that because I was like, man, this game has got me completely invested on where it's going. I'm so in on this storyline and plot. I want to jump in and play as Ellie and kill Abby. And the first, in terms of gameplay and the structure and the pacing, those first 3 days as Ellie, especially day 2, was like the best 3 hours of any game I've probably ever played. I
really?
was
You think so?
I was so completely... I've never been so emotionally enthralled in a game. Like, every minute of that game, my heart was racing.
Can I say that I was like the complete opposite? Because I feel that like Ellie's half of the game is so uneventful and strangely like... I don't know, it just gives off that vibe of like, what are we even doing here? Like, it just feels like kind of almost a pointless mission that doesn't even really make sense to me. At least that's the feeling I had while playing it, right? Like, you're just going after this person for like 10 hours and like killing a couple people in between that were there as well. And it's like, I don't know.
But to me, them being there, I wanted to kill all of them. Like, I was enjoying that process. But also, I loved the gameplay was so... immersive to me. So like as I'm playing it, it was the most like realistic type. That's what I love about Naughty Dog games. And
Yeah,
they
the
kept more
gameplay
and
is
more.
unmatched.
The game, exactly. The gameplay's so unmatched. I was just enjoying the process of playing the game. I wasn't in a rush to finish. I spent my time as Ellie going into every building, scavenging through everything. I just enjoyed the gameplay. Like I just enjoyed playing a game. It's the first time in a long time I've really just enjoyed sitting there playing a game. Probably since like Kingdom Hearts 3. So like 18 months since I'd really just enjoyed sitting down and playing a game like that. And the gameplay kept me so interested. I loved the stealth. I loved the combat. I loved when there's no one around and we're just dealing with story pieces with Ellie and the other side characters that we're with as well. And then, of course, I was motivated because I wanted to kill not just Abby, every single person in that room I wanted to die. And I've never enjoyed a zombie game ever as well in my life. This was the first time I ever enjoyed the zombie elements of a zombie game. Not even The Last of Us 1. When zombies were there, I just was like, oh, okay, here we go, zombies. Let's get through this. Whereas this time I was like actually scared. Like it was just such a immersive, realistic game that I was like, the atmosphere was so well done. The soundtrack was so well done. The graphics and visuals are so amazing. And it just, every beat throughout the days was just like, whether it was story motivating or not, like the set pieces kept me like, tensed up. Trying not to get caught. Like everything felt. I think my big thing was with Ellie. What I thought was so special about playing as her is that you spend the first game where she's someone you're looking after. So she's someone you want to protect. So all of a sudden, when you're used to playing this guy that if you get... while you're playing, Joel takes a few shots, it's whatever, it's just a game. But I felt like protective of Ellie. So I don't even want her to get shot, even though it's a video game. I'm like, no, I've got to be stealthy and she can't get hit because it's Ellie. Like, I feel like I got to look after her, even though she's such a fucking badass herself. Like, she's such a savage. Her playstyle as well. And then when we get to that halfway point, I was like, fuck off. I'm not fucking playing this bitch. I'm not fucking doing it. And then I give it, I play that first day and I was just sort of like, it's the gameplay that kept me going. I was like, man, this gameplay's so fun, whatever, I'll just play. And I get through the first day, I was like, that's actually pretty good. And then you do the flashbacks. And so by midday 2, I was like, oh, actually, I see what they're doing here. They're turning me around real slow. I didn't enjoy the second half as much as the first half, but then we get to that end bit and I'm like, oh, fuck, they're going to flip the script and Ellie's going to go and think she's going to kill Abby, but she's going to save her. I actually love that. But then they went so dark and deep with that ending where Ellie does sort of go through with it, but then doesn't because it breaks her completely. And then I'm like, oh, God. And then I was just left depressed and sad. And honestly, every day that goes by, I love the game more. Like,
it gives me PTSD thinking about it. Like, every single time it's brought up, I thought about it the other day. Someone brought it up on Discord, and I was just like, I can't even think about the game. Like, it was such a fucking experience. And
it was
it's
an
just
experience.
insane. It's so fucking weird. But like the moment as well, like talking about Ellie and Abby and all that stuff. The moment I realized how much I really did like Abby was when you've been playing as Ellie for a bit. Like you've switched back after the second day 3. And like Ellie's on her farm and everything, and you've got all that stuff, and they set up why because you've been playing as Abby for so long, you kind of forget you don't forget Ellie's motivation, but you're so with the other side of the story that they need to sort of give you that again, give you Ellie's side again, and so you're reminded of Joel and all that stuff. And then I immediately was like, okay, shit, yeah, okay, I'm back with Ellie again, and we're gonna go and get Abby. But then when it switches again, and you're in Santa Barbara with Abby and Lev, and they're looking for the fireflies and everything, that's when I realized how much I liked those characters, because I don't think I had a chance to really process it while I was playing through the main 3 days as Abby, because it was just, there was so much going on, it was so intense, and I was so like into the gameplay. But once I switched back and I was playing as them in Santa Barbara, I was like, I fucking love these guys, and I was like happy to be playing as them again. And that's when I realised, and I was like, oh shit, I've actually, like, they've turned me around to it, and I genuinely like these characters. And that's when I realised, like, the whole ending was just going to be so tough for me, because I liked Ellie, but I also liked Abby as well. And so it was just, like, this conflict. And I think that obviously it's such a polarising game, because if that doesn't work for you, then none of it's going to work for you, and the game is just going to fall apart. And I think, that's what happened for a lot of people. But then when it does work for you, it's like one of the most amazing things that you could ever experience. and it's just so interesting. And I think it's, I understand both sides.
I don't know. See, but I do feel there are definitely some sort of like more like there are some issues with it that are not just with the story. For example, like the pacing is also a little bit off in certain parts, for sure, in my opinion at least. Like you got the whole what is it like? Yeah, like I said, I mean, Ellie's half already feels a little bit weirdly drawn out and uneventful sometimes. At least that's how it did to me. And then like Abby has like these parts, at the very end where you like go to, what is it, Lev's, what do you even call that? The camp where like the entire faction is there and stuff, right? Like that whole fight that you have through the burning, the whole place is like on fire. That one felt kind of drawn out and things like that. Also, the Santa Barbara part at the end, I don't know, it just felt so off, like in terms of pacing to me, how they did it. Yeah, and to me it did at least. But again, it's hard to put those things into words because that's just a feeling you have, right? It's not. Yeah. By that time, I was just ready for the game to end, and then you still have like a whole 3-hour section, basically, glued to the end there as well.
I think the other thing I didn't like about Santa Barbara was that it was in California. I was like, get me the fuck out of this shithole state.
That might have been it, yeah.
Hate California. Shout out to California and everyone from there. Holy fuck. I was like, oh god, I remember this place, this fucking barren wasteland of soulless people.
But it's
exactly
it is
the same when it's covered in zombies.
It's like that. I was like, no, like, what are you thinking of fun in Santa Barbara, Abby? Oh, no one except like terrible people. What a shock! It's almost like real life.
No, but I was gonna say like
joking.
I was gonna say like clearly what this game, you are right in the sense that like if it doesn't work for you already basically from the start, then you're just not gonna like the game really. That's what it comes down to, right? And I think for a lot of people, it is. It's kind of 50-50. I think for some people that hate it, it's either the fact that they just couldn't let go of what the game, according to them, should have been. But there are also people that I think have more like legitimate issues with it. And they are sometimes, especially I saw, because that's also the sad thing about it. But like the whole backlash has been so toxic from both sides, right? And you saw that even with like Naughty Dog developers and the way they reacted to it and like, the way they can kind of just like... just treat like every person not liking the game as somehow has issues with the fact that like there's too many female characters in it or something like that, or they call them homophobes or things like that. And it's like don't do that either. Like understand, just like try to understand what makes people not like the game, right? And I think there were valid reasons to not like the game as well as that there were many reasons to like the game. Like I said, the gameplay and stuff is undeniably amazing, and I think there's literally nobody ever who complained about the gameplay or something. It's fantastic, right?
That'd be strange.
And again, so like it's for example, you have those little flashback scenes with Joel, right, in the first half with Ellie, and they're so amazing, right? Like
so good.
Yeah, and I think again, like that sort of reveals a potential for what the game also could have been, right? And that's hard for some people to kind of let go of, I guess. I didn't even have that much myself, like I said, because I wasn't like a huge fan of the first The Last of Us, but I understand it. I understand that is also basically what the game could have been, and that's what maybe a lot of people would have wanted. It's, I think I
just felt like that would have been like Uncharted. Like the thing about Uncharted is it's very light-hearted compared to me. Like it wouldn't be The Last of Us if the sequel was like, so we're just back with the characters again and another adventure, and I wonder what's gonna happen next time at the end. Like that's not what The Last of Us is. The biggest difference between an Uncharted and The Last of Us is The Last of Us has that total like unforgivingness to it. It is its world isn't black and white. Its world isn't happy. It's not supposed to be that way. It's about loss. That whole story is about loss and survival. In the first game, and I felt like the second game was exactly the same in almost an opposite way. So I feel like you get those feelings from an Uncharted, and what I liked about The Last of Us Part 2 was that I felt like with those flashbacks, it gave you that taste of what you wanted for those fans. It didn't show me what the game could have been, because I'm like, okay, so if the game had just been Joel and Ellie going another adventure, I wouldn't have liked it. It wouldn't have done anything. I'm like, why are we here? Why are we doing this? Like, it gave me an emotional reason to want to play this story, which was for revenge. And then that second half was me sort of like questioning everything I felt in the first half, where I'm like, wait, why do I like this person now when why do I see where their head's at? And then, but at the same time, I still didn't forgive her. Like, but what I was doing was just seeing her redemption, and she's actually Joel now, and Lev is Ellie, and I'm like, oh, she's got to like be the Joel character, the character that she hated, to get her own redemption, and then Ellie's got to not be Abby, or else she's going to lose everything. And you sort of, they're both become who they hate. And I just thought it was such an interesting story. I just thought it was so The Last of Us. It's what I always believed The Last of Us was, which is when I play, even though I'm not a big fan of the first game, or when I say I'm not a big fan of, like, I loved it, but if I don't say it's in my top 5 games of all time, then I hate every game. Like, whenever you do, if it's not in your top 5, you must fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I hate The Witcher 3 apparently because it's not in my top 5 games of all time. So
I actually hate that game, so. I seriously never managed to get into The Witcher 3, but yeah, people always give me shit for it, so yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so fucking hilarious.
I've
I
tried
played it for the first time
numerous
at the start of the year, and I loved it, but they're like, so it's your top 5? I'm like, no, it's not in the top 10. Like, it's pretty close to the top 10. It's not top 10. They're like, oh, I thought John would love it, but he hated The Witcher 3. I didn't fucking hate it.
It might be number 6, guys, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, like, I love The Witcher 3. But like this game to me, I would put right up there, right next to The Witcher 3 on like a list of favorite games of all time. Like it's probably not top 10, but it's close. It's honestly The Last of Us Part 2. Just, I mean, I said this in the spoiler cast. People who listen to that know, but I couldn't the way I saw The Last of Us. It just felt so true to itself, so true to itself, and and. In the sense of it was made to make me feel uncomfortable. Like this wasn't escapism. This was like to be completely broken, and it completely broke me. And I've never experienced a game like it. And whether they do a sequel or not, I'm fine with that. But I don't think I could go through that again. Like, that was so intense. It was just the most intense thing I've ever played. I think that's what I loved about it. That it was just I love experiences now. Like I find it hard to replay games. I've played a lot of games. I like new things. I like new things that take risks. I like new experiences and things I haven't felt before, and pushing those boundaries while also still being able to make a mechanically well-designed game, which Naughty Dog don't know how to make a bad game in terms of gameplay and game design. Yeah. So that's what kept me in there. So I think in terms of narrative and other little things, that's the side I like, the new stuff.
It is definitely...
I don't need to play, Assassin's Creed 17, where it's same old.
Yeah, it's definitely like commendable for those reasons. Absolutely, like they did something that takes balls to do. You know what I mean? Like, and that you can only commend it for that, right? But again, I think it kind of depends on how you looked at that first game. Because to you said like, oh yeah, the first game, it is that sort of unforgiving universe that I guess kind of, that's what the game represents to you. But I think to many people it did kind of just more represent also Joel and Ellie at its core, right? The first game very much. And so that's maybe what they also just expected from the second game, because that's what The Last of Us was to them. And so while you still get Joel in the second game, he clearly, like, if you count up all the scenes together, it's like, what, an hour and a half or something like that. He's not much in the game. And while he has the whole motivation, of course, for Ellie's journey and stuff like that, and there are many resemblances to make, that core definitely, like, that core may for some reason, or may for some people just simply not have been there anymore. And so what they're left with is just not really what they liked about the first game necessarily. And that's maybe how I feel about it too a little bit, because, just like you, I wasn't with the first game like, oh, I'm not a big fan of zombie games or something. That's not why I like the games. I don't like them for the world or whatever. I liked the first game almost specifically. Joel was like a huge reason why I liked the first game, because he was like the one character that I really resonated with and that I really liked in that game. So of course, if he's gone in the second one, there's not much left anymore to really love about it, right? And so I can still appreciate, of course, all the stuff that they did, like you said, that is new and that you don't expect. But I guess again, it's hard to talk about, man. It's just like it's a complex sort of game with many angles to it, and it's even hard to sometimes make up your mind, like, yeah, did I really like it or did I not like it? did I find it interesting or not? Like
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about it to this day. So I
Understandable.
guess that is a good sign, right? So yeah,
You'll remember it.
Yeah.
You'll never forget The Last of Us Part 2.
yeah.
Do you think they'll make a Part 3?
Yeah, I'm not. I think there is definitely the possibility, but they're not gonna make it immediately now. I think they're first gonna try a new IP, see how that works, because it's time Naughty Dog makes a new IP. It's been, since the original Last of Us, so it's been like a whole generation basically. And I think they're also gonna still be doing that HBO TV show or something, right? So I think Neil Druckmann is gonna get involved with that. And then, Naughty Dog itself is going to move on to like a new IP that I assume they've already been kind of secretly working on now for a year or two. And then, see how that does. And based on that, they might decide to, either go ahead with like Last of Us 3 or a sequel to that new IP again. And there's even still the factions multiplayer that people are kind of, hoping is still going to happen for The Last of Us 2, like a standalone factions multiplayer thing. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
And they're still doing the Uncharted series. Like there's still, going to be another one probably
I doubt
in the
that's
next
Naughty
few
Dog,
years.
though. I doubt that's Naughty Dog. I think that's a whole
Do you
new
reckon?
studio if they're going to do it. Yeah, because that's been the
I'm
rumor
pretty
already
sure
for a
we knew
long
it
time.
was. Yeah.
It's a whole
I
new
thought it was just
studio.
another offshoot of Naughty Dog, or is it like literally a completely new
No,
studio?
it's like literally a completely new studio, and then taking some of the people from Naughty Dog, like just a small group that has sort of transitioned over. But we'll have to even see if that's true, though. It could be that they're actually working on a completely new IP, but Uncharted is just too big of a franchise to let go. That's kind of the way I see it, I think we talked about that in the last podcast, but like, yeah, it's still, I think, in total, like the best-selling PS4 exclusive. So, it's going to be hard to just say like, oh yeah, let's leave Uncharted where it is, especially because they're also doing the movie now, which I really have no interest in watching, but whatever. Like,
Really, yeah.
it's too big
that's
of
a tough
franchise.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake?
I'm not the guy to ask. Seriously, like I want nothing to do with that movie. I'm not even planning to watch it. Honestly, seriously.
I know what it's like to have a movie made of your favorite video game franchise.
And the Assassin's Creed movie, it was like literally the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. And I knew it was going to be bad, but it was somehow even worse than I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh, for Jesus Christ almighty.
Pain.
But I don't believe in the concept of making movies out of these games in the first place. That is the big problem. It's not even so much about who is going to play Drake or whatever, but I think it's just like, you've literally made these games with the whole concept behind it that like, oh, what you want to do is make playable movies, literally. That's always been the goal. That's always what Naughty Dog has said. We want to put you in control of an amazing action-adventure type movie, right? And they succeeded in that. They made characters that were believable, like Drake, Sully, and Elena are characters that feel real to people, right? Same with Joel and Ellie and stuff like that. They are, like voice acted so well and motion captured and everything like that. They feel like real characters. And so to then... the whole concept makes no sense, in my opinion, that you're then going to make a movie out of it and replace literally these people, because... even if whether it's Tom Holland or even if it's like Nathan Fillion or any of these other actors that people have talked about, it will never be Nathan Drake. And nobody will ever be Sully. Sully is that particular voice, and it's that particular... sure, you can kind of mimic the look, but it's also the voice and stuff like that. Like, you're just never gonna... you're never gonna make something that fully resembles, what the games are to people. So I just think it's a... in my opinion, as somebody who really feels like, who's really dedicated to it and stuff, it's just not something that I'm interested in.
Yeah, it almost feels like it doesn't serve a purpose when you've got the games. It's an odd thing to do, and I guess it's for an entirely different audience at the end of the day when you think about it. It's like for an audience that doesn't play those games.
Exactly.
And then for us, like, we've got the games, so it doesn't matter a great
right,
deal.
and I've accepted that for what it is, and that's also why I can just, people sometimes get mad at me for saying that, like, I want nothing to do with the movie, but it's exactly for what you mentioned. I think it's for a different audience, and so I just don't really want to, I just don't care for it, and I don't want to act like I do, so yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, jumping into this week, we have the PlayStation 5, I guess, event, not even a reveal, but, release date reveal, price reveal, all that sort of stuff. What were your guys' thoughts? I'll start with you, Robin, on the event itself and the games that were shown and the whole I guess experience that they put together with the presentation.
Well, it's funny how like the perception around it really changed in the hours following it, right? Because initially when I watched the show, I thought it was a really cool show and like all the games that they showed were very exciting. But then suddenly we heard like extra information. Like I said, in the hours that followed, so like games were going to be more expensive, and like suddenly Horizon 2 and like Miles Morales was also coming to the PS4. So a lot of people were like really sort of confused by all that messaging, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. Overall, I like the show, and I think Sony is just, in general, the PlayStation is in such a good spot right now. There's like nothing, with all the, even with these little screw ups that they had, right? It doesn't matter, dude. They've just got the momentum at the moment, and it's gonna be impossible to, for Microsoft to like catch up to that anytime soon. That's just the thing. They're just great at what they do at the moment in terms of content. So yeah.
Do you think pricing for video games going up was inevitable, though, for the amount of money and investment and time it now takes to make these big games you play? Do you not then think at some point the price of them had to go up?
See, I don't necessarily mind the fact that some games are more expensive, right? I would happily pay 80 euros for like a God of War 2 or, any of these amazing Sony productions. I think the problem is more something that's been here for so long already, is that certain like almost all games share the exact same price, and they shouldn't be, because some games clearly...
How weird is that, eh?
What do you say?
How weird is that? You don't really think about that.
Some games clearly have less of a budget, right? Some games clearly don't have the same effort put into them. Look at your yearly sports games or whatever, or your, So it doesn't justify the fact that the prices are almost always the same. That is the bigger issue to me. But at the same time, this is a problem that, can't really be fixed by the games industry. It should simply be fixed by the community. People themselves should understand that, paying 80 euros for the yearly FIFA and stuff like that, hey, yeah, you can do it, of course, if you're really excited for it, but do understand that it makes these companies feel justified in asking the price for it, right? And it's not just that, because after those 80 euros that they pay for a new FIFA game or whatever, they're also putting 100 or 200 euros in the whole year into card packs and stuff like that, right? And it's like, those games make so much money compared to the actual really good productions, that we end up in this weird situation where it just doesn't pay off as much anymore to make those really cool games, because they just don't make as much money. It's all up to gamers individually into what they spend their money on and what they deem is the best value for their money. And yeah, sadly, not always the right choices are being made there. So
yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. What was your thoughts, James, on the presentation and something like that with the price points and stuff?
I think I'm at the same point as sort of the way Robin described it. The event was great. I was so fucking hyped. Watching it was such a great time, and it was an event that I sort of needed this year. I feel like most events have just sort of sucked this year, just super underwhelming. Even that first PlayStation event was it was cool, and we got to see Spider-Man and Horizon was great, but beyond that it was a bit sort of nothing. Whereas I think this event was just a little bit. I think it was just there was a lot of because at the beginning you get Spider-Man, at the end was Horizon, but between that was sort of not a lot of stuff I was necessarily interested in. It was still probably the best event so far of the year, but it was just compared to some other ones, it was yeah, alright, it was fine. But this is sort of the one I think I was waiting for, where it was just sort of non-stop big hitters, big surprises as well, stuff we didn't expect. You get the teaser for God of War at the end, which is really cool. The Harry Potter RPG, which has been rumored and it was leaked ages ago, that was really hype. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so that was cool. And it was just overall really good time. And they sold me on Demon Souls, which was a game that I didn't think I'd be interested in, but watching the little demo they showed and then the trailer at the end, I was like, this actually looks really cool and really fun. And it's something I would enjoy playing. It just it's beautiful to look at, and it just looks like a really good time. So they sold me on that somehow, and that was cool. And I just
Did you guys pre-order a PlayStation 5 yet?
Yeah, I managed to the next day when they went live, because that was fucking weird as well, because they were oh yeah, they went from we'll tell you soon when the pre-orders are happening to the pre-orders will be tomorrow, and then nope, 5 minutes later they're all up, and it's okay, well, good job.
Yeah, I was on a run around because I know most places it's not coming out till the 19th of November, but Australia and New Zealand are two of the countries on the list for November 12th. And yeah, they went up, like, because the event happened at 5 in the morning Australian time, and I was up at, it was, what day was it? It was Tuesday, so it was my 1 day off a week. So I woke up Tuesday morning thinking, I'll just, what was the, I don't even remember what day it was, because, yeah, whatever day it was, I get up, and I went and got, no, it was fucking Thursday, that's what it was, Thursday. And I got up, when I think I got a haircut or something. I was like, first thing I had that day, got a haircut, and I was like, oh yeah, I probably should pre-order. Like, I thought, no, it'll be fine. Like, I pre-ordered the last generation well in advance, and like, I wasn't there day one. It was fine, no big deal. But then you forget those consoles were like revealed 8 months before they released, and you could pre-order them and stuff. Like, it was just like one of those things. So it wasn't until Josh, the editor of this show, and Robin, your editor, Josh messaged me. He goes, "Oi, dude, you do know," because he lives in Australia as well. He goes, EB Games, our main, which is GameStop pretty much for here, have sold out. And I'm like, oh, fuck! Like, I didn't even think about it. And then I'm in the car, I just start rushing to get to the shops, and I run around to like the EB Games, and they're like, yeah, both console pre-orders sold out. I go to JB Hi-Fi, which is the other major retailer, and they're not doing in-store pre-orders. Like, oh, it's only an expression of interest. You have to go online to order. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Meanwhile, Josh has fucking pre-ordered his. Like, he's been up the whole fucking night watching it. And I'm just messaging him, like, every 5 seconds, going, it's fucking sold out everywhere. Fuck's sake. So I pre-ordered it online on JB's website, the disc version. And I hope I get it day one, but who the fuck knows at this point? I don't know. It's just what they can't, all it says is they can't guarantee it's a day one. So I'm like, I don't know. So who's to know? Then again, because I wanted to play these end of the year games like Cyberpunk and Valhalla, I thought I'll play those on the PS5. I don't really want to play those on my day one Xbox One or day one PS4. Like, they're running on fumes at this point.
Yeah,
but I might have to.
For me, it was like super a chaotic process as well, because like, I was streaming the event, and I think it was kind of like over by like 11 p.m. or something here, my time, and then I was still like uploading reactions and checking other people's thoughts, right? And so I go to bed at like 2 a.m. or something like that, thinking like, oh yeah, they'll be available sometime, tomorrow, like, I don't know, so probably like 11 a.m. or so, something like that. So I'll be fine. I wake up at 9, and literally by the time I wake up, I already see that they're sold out. On like the site that I wanted to order at. So I spent the next like 4 hours looking at different Dutch websites, like where could they still be available. None of them had them anymore and stuff like that, or they weren't even gonna offer pre-orders for them. So I'm like, seriously, am I really gonna miss out on this now? And then I somehow managed to, because apparently there were some people that like, in the afternoon were canceling their orders, that made more of them available again if you were lucky and you kind of like refreshed at the right time. Suddenly the button to pre-order was there again, showed up. And so I actually managed to get both the digital and the physical one just in case. Pre-ordered ultimately, but like, it's crazy because they were basically sold out immediately, and PlayStation also apologized for it yesterday. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, that was weird. I was going to say, what did you guys think of that statement they made?
Yeah, no, that was just interesting. And they're gonna have more. That's what they promised. So,
hang on, let me. I'll read it out for people listening. What PlayStation said was, they said, quote, "Let's be honest, PS5 pre-orders could have been a lot smoother. We truly apologize for that. Over the next few days, we will release more PS5 consoles for pre-order. Retailers will share more details, and more PS5s will be available through the end of the year." End quote. So that's that's cool that they acknowledge that. Quite strange the way they said it. They were just like, "Hey, look, that was a shit show." Yeah, especially because they'd promised to like give us heaps of notice too.
Yeah, exactly. They had people even sign up via email for like, oh yeah, we'll let you know when you can pre-order, and it turned out that they, that they didn't. So it was kind of just, I don't know what went wrong there. But in the first place, it is weird because like, they kind of promised that they would have like, I think 10 to 15 million units or something available on day one. So that should mean that there's a lot to pre-order. Like, I don't understand how they can be sold out within just half an hour in the first place. It doesn't really make any sense, because I doubt that many people pre-ordered them here in that, little time span. So yeah, I mean, they promised that they would have more, so we'll have to wait and see how many, I guess, and if everybody will be able to still pre-order theirs, because there's quite a lot of people I notice now that didn't manage to, so yeah.
I talked to the EB Games, my local EB Games, and they said every store was given, or most major stores were given, only 10 disc versions of the PS5 and 2 digital. That's all. Yeah. Like, there's not a lot of PlayStation 5s available day one anyway, so I was like, well, that's fucking almost none. Like, of course you sold out already on the first day, because I'm sure you have at least 12 fans of the PlayStation 5 in each sort of area that want to get it. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Absolutely bizarre. But what in terms of, before we get into the games that were at the showcase, there was one other thing that they talked about, which is PlayStation's version, I guess, of Game Pass. James, you want to kind of get into that and explain that?
It's sort of similar, but obviously not exactly the same. They've said there's obviously some third-party games on there, which I'm sure they'll probably intend to grow the library of, as well as their first-party stuff as well. But they've also said that, like the way that when you have Game Pass on Xbox, when the new Halo drops, it'll be on Game Pass right away. All the first-party exclusives are. Sony have basically said that's not really feasible with their games because they're so high budget, it's not sustainable. They wouldn't really be able to keep making the high budget games that they do if they were basically giving them all away when they dropped, which I think is understandable. But essentially, you've got this PlayStation Plus collection, which is a big collection of PlayStation games and some third-party ones in there as well, which I'm sure they're going to intend to grow. And I think it's pretty cool. I think it's great. Will it compete with Game Pass? I mean, only time will tell whether they, grow it to a point where it really can be competing with what Game Pass offers. But I think it's really cool regardless, and allows people, especially people that are just getting a PlayStation this generation coming up, they're going to be able to just get that and play all of these games that they missed during this generation. I think that's really cool, and it makes it more accessible for people at a cheaper price.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a cool concept, but I've been hearing people say like, oh, they've pretty much got Game Pass. Xbox is done. I'm like, okay, let's be real. Game Pass is still way better than whatever that is. PlayStation Plus collection, like that's cool. It's a good start, but the library on Game Pass is pretty ridiculous, and I can't imagine it's that good for PlayStation off the bat. And like they said, the exclusives won't be on there straight away, which. It's for sure, like, super understandable, because I don't know how Xbox do that. I really don't know how they do that. Well, then again, they don't have any exclusives.
They don't put enough money into their games. Have you seen Halo Infinite?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I did see it.
They spent about a $5 on it to make that game.
It hurts. It really hurts. That was rough. Xbox is so defeated, and it hurts my feelings.
But this
really does.
This is what you have to understand about the whole Game Pass model, right? Like it's of course a cool idea on paper, and it's really nice for gamers because you don't have to spend all that much money, but. You do have to keep in mind that, like, I mean, first of all, we don't know if this whole model is sustainable, right? It makes a lot of sense for PlayStation, in my opinion, to say, like, yeah, we put so much money into our games, we can't afford to just, like, put them in some program and give them to you for, like, $10 a month or something,
In fact, they're going to be more expensive than ever.
Yeah.
In fact. Hey, guess what? You're going to pay for it more than Xbox is going to have people that buy Game Pass. So that's the reality.
But plus what you also just get is that, Xbox will now, with every single game that they make, they will want to kind of make sure that those games will all help to have people continue their Game Pass subscription, right? So what you get ultimately is that, I think at least, they have more of an incentive for almost every single game they make to in some way be a service-based game, because they want you to play those games for a long time. Therefore, they want you to, or like they want you to do that because they want you to keep being subscribed to Game Pass as well, right? And you see it with Halo Infinite, which is supposed to be kind of like that. And we'll have to wait and see how it goes with Fable. I think Fable was rumored to also be like a huge online thing. And it's like single-player games, in my opinion, single-player games on Xbox might very well be vanishing simply because they want to make sure that you can play those games for a long time so that you'll continue to have Game Pass as well. Game Pass will influence the game design for almost all their games. The only game we know so far that is, at least looking like it's going to be a true single-player experience is Hellblade, and I can't wait for that game because it looks fucking awesome, and I love the first one. But, again, like PlayStation, what we all love about PlayStation is those single-player games. And they can work because people are willing to pay money for it. And we'll have to wait and see if that's, what Xbox is going to keep doing. Because with the model that they are currently adopting, there's not that much money coming in anymore. People aren't willing to pay those huge prices for single-player experiences. So then you end up with what we get with Halo. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a good point.
And that the hope is Fable isn't that big. Well, the rumor that was going to be an MMO has been sort of debunked, but there's certainly going to be online elements to that. The question is to what extent. Yeah, Fable's mostly going to be a single player game, but I have no doubt they're going to try to build like a longer lifespan through some sort of online gameplay, or at least some additions to even the world they have. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Or
DLC or something like that. Like again, look at God of War, right? I mean, God of War, we all loved
the perfect game,
and it never got any DLC. They were just like, no, this is the game that it is, and that was completely fine. But those kinds of games, it's rare these days.
It's the thing I love about God of War is it's the only. It is the only. Every other game has Red Dead Redemption 2 online features. Horizon Zero Dawn had DLC. All these games, they have to have expansions. They keep you around. God of War is just the perfect game in a perfect package. Here it is, and what you play, and then you're done with it.
And that's what
just
you get.
Enjoy it, and then move on with your life and get ready for the next one. Like, I respected that so much when it came out. I was like, I wonder if there'll be this DLC, and then like there's no, and I'm like, you know what? I love that. Like, I love that. Yeah. Like, there'll be no. My last memory of God of War will be my first memory of God of War, which was that it was a masterpiece. It's the best game I've ever played. Like, and I love that. I absolutely love that.
What did you think of the reveal of the new God of War now? Because I thought, like, it's strange because apparently the game is coming out next year. At least that's what they're saying. I don't believe it for a single second.
I don't believe it either. There's no fucking way. And also, I don't want it to come out next year. I don't want it to come out
It's kind of too soon almost, right? It's weird.
It's too soon, but also, like, I really kind of enjoy hype a bit more than I used to. I used to sort of not. I'm like, just give me the game now. But I'm like, I don't have time as it is to play a game. So I kind of like enjoy the wait period where I just get to talk about it for a while. Because once it comes out, then it's just the longest again period before I get to play it again. Whereas once you reveal it, let me enjoy the reveal. Let me enjoy that I know it's coming. I can wait. Just like, let me enjoy that hype. Especially because I've got Forbidden West is coming out. That's going to come out first. And I hope it's not the first half of next year. I hope that's at the end of next year, and then God of War sort of middle of 2022. That's what I was hoping for, but it almost looks like Horizon will come out in the first half of next year, and then God of War at the end. And I'm like, this is too much. Like, what?
Yeah, they also got Ratchet and Clank still, right? So it could be that they'll use that and then Horizon for the fall or something, but yeah.
Yeah, when do we think God of War is 5's coming out? Like, and I guess what's it going to be called now? They can't, because they called God of War 4 just God of War.
Let's call it God of War 5. Nice, call it God of War 6. Mix things up a little bit.
Or call it God of War 2.
People. God of War 2 would be weird as well, yeah.
Yeah, like
people keep saying it's like people. Whenever you see an edit of it, people are calling it God of War Part 2, and obviously they're not going to do that. But people keep calling it that, and I think it's really weird. So imagine if Sony called all of their games Part 2. Actually, imagine if Sony called all of their games Forbidden West. I think it's going to be called God of War Forbidden West.
That's what I
my
prediction.
prediction.
Now that you mention it, that's what my hope for it.
But it's funny because even they still, apparently do not know what to call it yet because they didn't officially really give it a title yet, right? So they just Ragnarok is coming. So I don't know, God of War Ragnarok, I guess. But yeah, I wonder what they'll call it in the end.
I mean, I'd be fine with the subtitle. That's whatever. But yeah, they've got to. They're just called God of War PS5.
Just call it God of War again. Just God of
War again.
Really confuse people.
Yeah, I mean, But I mean, the reveal itself was. I mean, for me, I woke up to Twitter telling me what happened. Like I didn't see the event live or anything like that. So I was like, wait, God of War, tease. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not a surprise necessarily. It was being made, and you sort of knew that it might be teased. What made me shit my pants, quite literally, was not literally, but almost literally, was the fact that it was 2021. I'm like, no, bullshit. I'm not ready for that. I'm not emotionally ready for that. 2021's out here to straight up just like redeem this year. It's like, 2020 sucked. Well, here's Horizon Forbidden West and God of War, Tyler. Your two favorite things in the world. I'm like, oh my god, here we go. But no, I can't see it. I can't see it happening. Surely not.
I think they just literally used it as a way for people to make sure that they're getting PS5s now immediately, and then next year it's like, yeah, never mind, it's coming out 2022. We were just kidding. It's also weird because they didn't show anything, right? They just showed a logo. That's literally it. Like if the game was that close to being done, and surely you could have used something else, because this, it's just an anticlimactic trailer this way. Like just a logo using some of the soundtrack from the previous game, and there was nothing new in that. And we all, let's be honest, we all knew that a God of War 2 was happening, of course. So it's not like nobody knew that this game was coming. We all knew that it was eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just found it a strange announcement overall to go with that one and not really show anything, and then also say 2021. I kind of don't believe anything about it, so yeah.
But what's 2021?
Well,
could be, we'll reveal it in 2021.
Yeah, exactly.
Gameplay drops 2021.
Yeah.
We're going to start making it in 2021, guys.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All they've done is the logo. All they've done on the game so far
They
is that.
spent so long making that logo. They're so proud of it. They needed to get it shown.
Yeah.
What did we think of, is there anything you guys feel like you can take away from the teaser, the line? So it was, you must prepare yourself. What was the second line? You must prepare yourself.
That was the first line, wasn't it?
That was the
second line. That was the second line.
That was the second line. Yeah. What's the first line?
I don't even know anymore. But it really wasn't anything we didn't already know. Like I said, yeah.
Just Ragnarok. We know Ragnarok is coming, and he's probably talking to.
We knew that from
Atreus,
the first game. So.
Yeah, but I'm more suspect of so he's obviously talking. It's Kratos talking to Atreus.
I would imagine.
Yeah. So
he doesn't have any other friends.
The time draws near is the first line.
Right.
You must prepare yourself. Do you think? Do you think that they'll pull a Naughty Dog and kill Kratos at the start, and then you play as Atreus for the whole game? And then
I don't think they will.
No,
I don't think they will. And if they were going to do that, they're not going to do it
serious. No, yeah. I think. Do you think at the end of this, whether it's a trilogy or however many they're going to do with this sort of Norse era, Kratos can't make it through, right? It's going to lead us to an Atreus era? Or do you think they'll just be that's the Norse era and Atreus will die at the end, and then Kratos moves on to something else?
Well, the
for
whole,
another trilogy.
The whole first game kind of ends with this prophecy, right? Of what is going to happen later on. And I think that is one of the nice things about this game that, the creators have already basically admitted. They wrote this game while simultaneously already thinking about where things would end up and stuff like that. So there's there's even some mysteries in the first game that still haven't been resolved, that we know are going to have to be resolved eventually, and I assume they already have the answers for that. They just haven't told us what the answers are yet, because, for example, there's the one part where Atreus becomes sick, right? And then you as Kratos bring him to Freya, and while he's on this elevator going up, we can hear the horn being used or whatever, and we still don't know who did that. There are all kinds of crazy theories about the world serpent could actually be Kratos from the future. It's completely he has the same eye color and stuff like that, and the same his scalps are what is it white and red colored, just like Kratos. So it's there's so many theories, and the game has basically been written already, the first one, with the sequels in mind. So that's the nice thing about it. I doubt they'll go into any crazy direction with it or completely do a 180 like The Last of Us did. But we saw at the end of the first game that you had that prophecy there of what looked like Kratos who was dead basically, and then we saw like a snake or something coming out of his mouth or something like that. It was really weird, but yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do with it. But I have faith in it.
Do you think that because they've shown this prophecy of what looks like Kratos dying, that the outcome will actually just not be that?
Oh, it could
Kratos
absolutely
will
be
manage
that.
to cheat that, and like that'll be an epic moment where he doesn't die, but he's like, it's like, oh shit, Kratos. Well, again, like he's died like in every God of War game. I mean, except for this newest one, he's died and then come back. Do you think it would be like? I feel like there could be a good way of killing him, but do you think it could potentially be underwhelming to kill him when it's like, well, he's died like so many times and always come back, why not this time, sort of thing? Or do you think people would just be like, sort of get on with it? I mean,
I don't know. It depends how you execute it, right? If it makes sense in the end, then I think people will be fine with it and stuff. And like, you know, it's weird because that's already kind of the situation God of War was in, right? Where the developers and people, you know, fans didn't really know what to do with the franchise anymore before this new God of War. So, you know, like, do we still continue with Kratos and stuff like that? What are we gonna do with it? Well, they did bring him back in the end, but it seems like they indeed do want to kind of like get rid of him, or like, you know, just go like, that's the only, because again, they did such a great job at taking this new God of War into a new direction as well. But what are you going to do after like 2 or 3 games? You once again want to try and kind of reinvent it, right? And I guess the only way would be to continue with somebody else other than Kratos for once. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think you do it this second game, right? You need it's sort of going to build to that, but
yeah, build to that.
How much time do you think? How much time do you think will pass? Because Atreus won't be a small boy anymore. Surely you'd think he'd be maybe a teenager by this point.
A few years, like the ending fucking cutscene thing, where it's like a few years later. Is that what it said?
Yes, it's a few years later, but then obviously it doesn't skip and show you what Atreus would look like because I haven't come up with that yet.
Yeah. So yeah, a few years. You know, probably a bit older.
Yeah, and we know we're stepping up in the sort of god tiers. We're now dealing with Thor.
Big boy Thor.
Yeah, the big boys there. So yeah, it's there's gonna be a lot to this, and I think it's gonna be a long wait time. I just don't see how it comes out next year. I just don't. Even I was skeptical about Horizon Forbidden West coming out next year. I'm skeptical about that.
I think that one will.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like at the earliest it comes out next year, like fall, like October, November at the earliest. There's no way it comes out like first half of the year, surely.
I would say September,
yeah, probably
just like
not.
a Spider-Man kind of window.
Yeah, that probably makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Sure.
What do you think's the big end of the year game then? If it's not Horizon.
I don't know. Sony actually doesn't really always have a big end of the year game necessarily, right? We saw it in the past couple of years that they used that kind of like September window for, you know, games like Uncharted: The Lost Legacy and Spider-Man on PS4, and last year they had one with Death Stranding, but that's, well, officially not even an exclusive, I guess, anymore.
Is it not? What do you mean?
Oh, it went to the PC, so.
Ah, right. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so.
So's Horizon as well. So they've just released Horizon on PC.
Oh, yeah, no, true. Yeah, it's weird because, you know, they might, well, actually, they already basically hinted that even more games are coming to the PC, so. But as far as their strategy, like, yeah, Sony actually, you know, I think they do a good job at that, realizing that, like, the fall was usually reserved for the, you know, the annual Call of Duties and Battlefields and FIFAs anyway, you know, that's, like, where most publishers like to release their games in November and stuff, so Sony kind of just, like, stays away from that and just goes with the early periods of the year, and then, like, you know, maybe, again, like in August or September for other titles.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Sense. Why do you think they're doing Horizon on the PS4 as well?
I have honestly, well, to make money, I guess. Like, you know, how many PS5s will be out in the wild by the time it comes out next year? I would imagine like 20 million, 25 million maybe at max. Well, probably more like 20. So there will be 110 plus million PS4s still out in the wild. There's a lot of money to be made there. A lot of people still sticking with the, you know, previous generation. And yeah, that's, I guess, the only reason. But what people, you know, why that annoys certain people is that, you know, they might feel that it holds the PlayStation 5 version back, right? You know, that like the game will be designed with the PS4 in mind and therefore is going to have certain restrictions. And it's funny because they kind of painted themselves in that corner before, because, you know, the developers, Guerrilla, themselves have admitted in the past that like, oh, we wanted to have certain features like flying around in the first Horizon game, but we couldn't because the PS4 hardware limited us. So if they wanted to, according to them at least, if they wanted to have that feature in the sequel now, they still couldn't because they need to make it work on the previous generation too. So, you know, it's hard to say, but I think the reason is simply like there's a lot of money to be made, and that's why they're coming out on both generations.
Yeah, true. But do you not feel like it could be a good drawing card after 12 months to the PlayStation 5?
To have it exclusive or what?
Yeah, yes, to have it exclusive.
I mean, it definitely would sell more systems, but I imagine that Sony simply feels that like the lead that they currently have and the content that they have in general is going to force people anyway to eventually get that PS5. I doubt that they think that I think that it's just that Microsoft at the moment doesn't really pose a real threat for them. People are not going to jump ship from that PlayStation 4 to the new Xbox or something like that. It's also because of Microsoft's strategy, of course, because their games are also coming out across all generations. So there's no reason for people to go from the PS4 to Xbox this time around. At least, you know, that's what I think Sony believes. And because of that, they also don't need to make this title exclusive to the PlayStation 5 to ensure that people stay on PlayStation. They will anyway. So, yeah, I think that's the reason.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I also think as well, like I said this when I put my video together, was that when you jump from like the PS3 to the PS4, there was a much bigger jump in what they could do. And I think that, you know, there's still a lot of that here, but I think it's a lot more under the hood sort of stuff that can be done. And I think it's a bit more feasible to have that cross-gen period and still push next-gen, because you've got things like ray tracing, you know, the reduced or no load times. You've got, you know, more things being able to happen on screen, improved textures, lighting, all of those things that are more subtle but add together to make an overall better experience. Frame rates and resolution, stuff like that, that's just easier to achieve, you know, with the new hardware. And I think those things are like their main sort of I guess, the main points they want to hit with next gen, whereas last time it was like, look how many more polygons we have, look how much more realistic these games look compared to previous gen. Whereas when you look at a game like Uncharted 4 or The Last of Us Part 2,
still looks
you're like,
amazing,
how could this look better? Like, how could you? There's almost not that like space to have that leap. Whereas those quality of life things like, you know, load times or like adding like additional things like ray tracing and all of that stuff is like sort of where they go. So I almost feel like when you play like Horizon Forbidden West on PS4, it's going to look like Horizon Zero Dawn, and it looks gorgeous. But when you play it on PS5, you're going to have all these additional things that's going to add to the experience and add to the way that the game looks. And I think that's almost sort of good enough, because that's where they're going with this next generation. Because
that's where the difference really lies.
Can make.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think that means that, you know, obviously there's things like you said, like they said they wanted to have like flying around and stuff in Horizon, but couldn't do it. There's obviously stuff like that that's going to have those limitations.
But what was it?
Have you guys not?
I'm not sure who said it. Maybe Colton said it, but mentioned that it was originally, when it started development, was always supposed to be a PS4 game.
Yeah, but I think then later they just said that like it's built from the ground up for the PS5. So I don't.
Yeah, that's so bizarre.
Yeah,
it was weird as well, because I'm pretty sure Sony said, I swear Sony said at some point that they weren't releasing games for the PS4 anymore. They were like, going forward, we're all into the PS5.
We believe in generations, they said. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
whatever that means.
No.
Yeah, like that means nothing.
Yeah, who knows?
But like you said, it's not. I mean, that massively going to be a jump. It's those little things. Those little things that are a big deal, and they're definitely noticeable. But I mean, I'm replaying Horizon Zero Dawn for the first time since my first playthrough, and it's so fucking good looking. What a great looking game, and it still plays so well. I'm like, I forgot how good this was, and I thought it was going to be like, since I hadn't played in 3 years, really, like, I mean, I played bits of it, the DLCs and all that sort of stuff, but like, playthrough from the beginning of the game, in over 3 years, I thought, it won't live up to what I remember it being, but it's just as good, if not better than I remember it. And, how much really can the PS5 jump that it's going to be so noticeable that I couldn't just play something on the PS4. So I guess I see it that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not going to be game breaking, hopefully, to play like a Forbidden West for those PS4 players. In terms of the look of it, but also the load times. Hopefully, it's not like insane, because I mean the load times are pretty long in some of these games now. So that reduction, and then of course Bethesda released Skyrim with instant load times, so that'll be great.
I played that on my fridge already.
Yeah, you played that on your
amazing.
fridge. Yeah. I'm yet to play it on my Alexa. So
I played it on Alexa. It was good fun.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
It was fucking brilliant.
The only time I ever want to play Skyrim again is on VR, I reckon. I reckon that'd be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be one to do. If I ever got VR, I'd definitely be playing Skyrim to test it out.
Yeah.
For
I had
sure.
like one of the guys from work, he's like in his 40s and he has VR. And I'm like, what are you playing there? He's like, I don't know, I just fucking... He's sort of whatever about, like, he plays some games, he doesn't really care. I got it for his son, and he's like, oh, I don't know, man, like, I got, like, fucking Skyrim or whatever the fuck. I'm like, oh, yeah, like, pretty amazing game. And he goes, I don't know, I just fucking walked in, I was in a fucking cart, and then a dragon came, and then, like, a guy was leading me somewhere, and I'm like, I'm not fucking following you. And then he just stabbed him, and then he's like, and then I just stole some shit. And then a guy, like, they arrested me, and I was like, I'm not fucking going to jail. And then I turned off and never played again. I'm like, what an awful story. Like, what a terrible fucking story you just told me. I'm like, this is one of the best games of all time, and you're playing on VR, and you're just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know
what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That's great.
Oh, my God. But, I mean, have you guys played VR? I've never even played VR before to know, like, that experience.
I got the PlayStation VR, yeah.
Is it good? Like, is it that immersive when you're playing it? You're like, holy shit, that's the difference.
No, it's seriously a really cool experience. I just have one problem, and that is that I so easily get motion sick. Even in real life, like I get sick in the car. I get sick playing. I kid you not, I get sick playing 60 frames a second games. If I play them for too long and if the motion is too fast in it and stuff, I get sick after a while. And now imagine what that would be like in VR. It's even worse. It's like 20 minutes of playing and I am like, my whole day is ruined basically. Like
the day's over. I may as well call it quits.
Yeah, and it sucks because again, that's what I have to mentally prepare myself for every time. Like, okay, if I want to have this cool experience, I'm just gonna have to accept the fact that I'll be feeling sick the whole rest of the day. So I usually do it in, if I do it, well, I haven't even played VR in a long time. I just have it like in my closet right now, collecting dust mostly. Yeah, for that simple reason that I just don't want to, it's like it's too much for me. But the experience itself is super cool and it's unlike anything else. Like it is not overhyped or something in my opinion. I mean, the problem is that you only have a certain type of game that like fits really well with it, right? Like you can't do your usual first-person shooters or the type of games that you love playing normally. They mostly won't work on VR. You need to have dedicated experiences made for VR. Mostly where you'll be like either like sitting still in a single place or something like that, and that's the only type of game that works really well with it. But it sounds dumb because again, like it's the games especially that use the motion controllers and things like that are just so awesome to play. And even though that, yeah, like on a Wii or something, that got tired very quickly. Here it doesn't. It's like I said, the experience is something else entirely. You really feel like you're in the moment there or in that space. If characters come up too close to you, you genuinely get scared just because of it. It's like it's a surreal experience that you just have to try out to get it. It's hard to put it into words and stuff like that, and to sell the idea to people without them actually experiencing it. So
yeah, that's
cool.
I've wanted
I'll have to get
to
one eventually.
Yeah. I've wanted to do it. I just, for whatever reason, haven't yet. And the only game I've seen that would be really cool, and I'm like, oh, Skyrim would be it would be such a new, like, lease on life to that game. And it's one of my favorite games. And, there's nothing really to do in it anymore. Like, I've gotten everything out of it that I wanted, but I imagine VR would add some whole new level to it. That's like, holy shit, no, I'm fucking in Skyrim. This is a whole new way to play and a whole new, like, way to experience it. There's just, I guess there's not enough dedicated games to it that are of that
true.
quality.
Well, they just
like
had
you got Iron Man VR that's like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that one works really. I haven't really looked into that one, but like the Half-Life game that they just released. Yeah, sadly that one didn't come to PlayStation VR. I imagine it will eventually or something, but it's only on PC on one of these. I don't know. Actually, I think you can play with all the PC VR headsets, but the Half-Life game is meant to be really good. And then like I mainly played all the launch games that were there at PlayStation VR, but you've got some really cool shit there. Like there was the Batman game that was really cool. And then Until Dawn, I don't know if you saw that one. It's like a Until Dawn spin-off where you're in a roller coaster. So you're like sitting in a roller coaster shooting at things with your motion controllers. Yeah, it does. But seriously, like you feel like you're sitting in a roller coaster, and if you're going down the hill, it well, for me it makes me extra sick. But even people who wouldn't get sick, they would like seriously. You feel it in your stomach going down the hill and stuff like that, and then having all these jump scares, dude. It's insane. Like. I wouldn't be surprised if people have genuinely died of heart attacks playing in VR, but I don't know. Surely there must have been.
Don't let your dad use VR. That's what Robin's saying. Don't let your dad use it.
Yeah, basically.
Especially with those horror games. Imagine there'd be like that 13-year-old kid that's gonna give like his older sister like, oh, just check this like VR game. It's really cool. It's like puppies and shit.
Yeah.
And then it's like Resident Evil and there's like fucking monsters coming out. And she's like, oh my god. She fucking dies.
Oh man.
I imagine that's gotta happen. It'd be a good prank. Now that I think about it. Yeah. But horror games would be the move. Like, surely there's like shitloads of horror. I've looked not at all into VR. I have no idea, but I imagine like horror games would be so intense.
Yeah, they would be. Resident Evil 7 is there too, fully playable and stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't even bother trying it because I already get scared the shit out of me playing the game generally. But in VR, I can't imagine what it must be like.
For me.
I feel like. James, you get sometimes scared of certain games you play. Like if you play this,
sometimes scared.
Well, what I'm saying, I'm trying to politely say you get scared. If you were playing one of these like jumpy horror games, I would pay a lot of money to see you in VR playing some ridiculous horror game.
Oh man, it would ruin me. I can't play horror. I really can't do it. It's there was a fucking game I got a code for recently. I say recently, it was like a few months ago, but I played it on stream, and I just couldn't progress. Like everyone was like, "Stop being a fucking pussy," and I'm like, I know I need to walk out this door and continue with the game, but I can't bring myself to do it because I'm so fucking scared. And it's just, I guess that's good. I guess it's what they were trying to do. But like, yeah, I don't know. I can't do it. But also there's this like trope that horror games do. And the only game I've played that like nails it is Resident Evil 2. And you'll go into like a space and it'll be like, right, do a puzzle. And then to do that puzzle, you got to do another puzzle. And to do that puzzle, you got to do another puzzle. And you end up going across this whole space. And you got to memorize the layout and go back and forth, solving these different puzzles. And there's a lot of like Outlast does it, and it's so boring, and I just don't like that game. I know a lot of people do, but I fucking can't stand it. Whereas when you play Resident Evil 2, like I was so engaged the whole fucking time. The level design, the pacing, the way they put in the scares, like it was such a fucit's good experience. Resident Evil 2 is easily probably the best horror game I've ever played, and it's not like pure horror, but like it is. I mean, I'd say it's a horror game, and it's incredible. But obviously that one wouldn't work in VR because it's third person. But I don't know where I'm going with this tangent, but yeah, I get scared sometimes. You're right, I do.
But what I'm saying is I want to see you play a horror VR game. That's what I'm saying, James.
Yeah,
because I feel like it'd be funny. I feel like I feel like also like something I'd want to do with you would be like give you or film you going into one of those like horror houses. Like that would make my fucking life. Like I would just have so much fun.
I would just freeze and stand.
No, but here's the thing: we're gonna do it one day, and I've decided.
But we're not.
We're gonna go to.
We're not actually gonna do that.
One
it's
day
not physically possible.
Yeah, it is. So
it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
I'm like,
about
dude,
that.
let's go. We'll go to the Bit of Stones. Like we'll do another vlog part 2, and George will be in on it. And we'll take you to we'll go to a haunted house, and we're all gonna go through a haunted house, and we're gonna film it. Dude, think of the content. It's about the content, man.
Yeah, it might be about the content, but once I have a fucking heart attack, it'll be about the medical.
I would literally be howling laughing. I'd be walking through this horror house with a camera on you. You would be like literally uncontrollably shaking, and I would be just howling laughing. I would find it would just bring me so much joy. That's what I'm saying.
I honestly think in that situation, I don't think you would get the reaction you'd want. I think that I'm more scared of horror games than I would be in that actual situation. I think I would just take it really well. Because I knew I was being filmed, so I'd be like, no, I'm fucking tough. I'm not fucking scared. I don't think you'd get a reaction. Unless you want me to put it on, I can put it on if you want.
Yeah, well, definitely
really
put it on
freak
for
out.
sure.
Alright, fine. I'll do that.
Yeah, but also, I feel like it would, like... it was like when we went to the Bitterstones. And we went, like, climbed up some stairs, and you're like, I gotta go down. I'm like, why? And you're like, I don't like heights. And you were like,
it
genuinely...
fucking freaked me out. Like, I couldn't go up the stairs. I'm like, I physically can't do it. Like, I'm gonna fall over. Like...
You're not gonna fall! What do you...
No, but, like, mentally, I'm like... Because I'm so, like, heights fuck me up. Going up, like, stairs that are high, I know they're high, and so my head is just like, no, I'm too dizzy, like, I can't do it. And so I had to go back down. Because I'm like, I'll just fucking fall over my own feet.
I don't think we've ever talked about this on the show before, but there's a fear that you and George have that bothers me, and I'm trying to remember what it was. And it was the most it's the most obscure fear I've ever heard.
Like big bodies of water, like with like
something like a whale or something like that. Like,
we described it to you, like a big. So you're stranded out in the sea, and like there's a thunderstorm, and then like a whale, like you said, like next to you, like there's like a whale, and like it touches your foot, and you're like, oh fuck, it's a whale. Or like you see like I don't know, like an island in the distance, and it's like all shrouded in like smoke, and you're like, it's fucking creepy. I don't like
this. This is what I'm dealing with, Robin. Like I go over to the UK last year, and I'm with James and his brother, and they're describing to me like they're afraid of fucking spiders, they're afraid of fucking everything. And then like the first night I was there, I'll never forget, like of all the times like them telling me about spiders and how scary spiders are and shit, I'm like, holy fuck, you have no idea. Like, come to Australia for 30 seconds, you'll be fucked. Yep. And then the first night I get there, I'm like, you couldn't have written about it. Like, as soon as I go to bed, I knock on my door. Elva, James' girlfriend, going, Tyler, there's a spider in our room. Come and kill it. Like, it's this tiny fucking little spider.
It wasn't it wasn't tiny. It was a pretty thick guy.
It was like, it's the smallest spider I've ever felt like seen someone scared of. I'll say that. Okay. And then I just like tapped the wall and it died.
To be fair, you hit the wall pretty fucking hard. I'm surprised you didn't dent it. And then it fell to the ground, and then you smacked it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just smacked the little boy.
But hey, look, I'm better with spiders now. To be fair,
I've
had to be. You know,
you've had to be. You're the man of the house now. You've got your own house.
I have to do it. There's no other way about it. So
I'm proud of you. But like every other day, Elva on her Instagram will post a story of a spider and how she's like literally shaking. I'm literally shaking.
Oh my god, that was mental though. There was the one that was like outside, and like she couldn't open the door because she was so scared that it was gonna like, I don't know, go on her or something. So I came out and I saw it, and I was like, that's not that big. And so I was like, I'm gonna get it. And then it was actually kind of massive. It's like one of the biggest spiders I've ever seen. Like it fucking opened out its fucking legs, and it was horrible.
It's not massive though, was it?
Striped. It was horrible. It was disgusting.
Not massive though, was it? Let's be honest with ourselves.
Killed it, so we're right.
But then I'm like, what? Are you guys afraid of everything? And then I'm like, what's the most weird fear? And you guys started talking about bodies of water and whales. I'm like, how is this a fear you have?
But it's like as well, like,
when have you ever been in a situation where you'd be afraid of that? You're like, all I know is that if I was in a body of water and saw a shrouded smoky island and a whale, I'm gonna shit myself. Like,
it's also like, if like, imagine you're like in the middle of the water and like there's nothing around you, and then like you feel like an old shipwreck or something like touch your foot or something, and you see it below you.
What do you mean? Because
so specific, it's freaking me out.
Yeah, dude, it's so specific. Like, I was blown away by this phobia. I was like, this can't be real.
It's weird that we both have it.
Like, it's so bizarre.
What's it called?
Because I was like, that's so specific. Because like, I mean, I love the water and the ocean, and I love the open ocean, and I've gone diving and stuff. And in shipwrecks, like I grew up by the beach. Like I live in fucking Australia, for God's sakes, on the east coast, like in Queensland, for God's sake, the Sunshine State. And on my holidays, we stayed. We'd go to the island, the Moreton Bay, the different islands of Moreton Bay. And one of them's Moreton Island, and there's a whole shipwrecks there. I used to dive in the shipwrecks, and there's small like wobbegong sharks and tens of thousands of fish and squid and all these different things, and it's gorgeous down there. So like, you explain this fear to me, I'm like, I don't get it. Especially like sharks, I get. If you were like, you're in a body water with a shark there, I'm like, fair enough. But you're like,
yeah, but that's
if
just a
there's-
regular fear.
like,
Like a
if
phobia.
there's-
Phobias don't make sense, like by their nature. They're irrational fears. So, like,
Yeah,
if
no,
you were
but-
scared
but,
of
like,
a shark
phobia-
getting
a
you,
phobia
it makes
of a-
sense.
No, but you can have like an irrational fear of the shark, like beyond. I have like a phobia. I feel like, or a very 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 strong fear of snakes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I can't
Like, do
even
they
look
freak
at
you
them.
out just
I
to
can't
look
even,
at, like, a
I
picture
can't
of
even look
them?
at them. I don't like looking at pictures of them.
Yeah, that's a phobia because you're scared of like what they look like rather than what they can do to you. Like you're just scared of like.
I am scared of what they can do to you, especially because
Well,
but it's
yeah,
also
I know,
like a
but-
legit real fear. Like I love going hiking. I do it all the time. And like last weekend, I stepped on a fucking snake. That scared the shit out of me.
Jesus.
And then we're walking, and not 10 minutes later, there's a fucking brown snake, one of the most deadly snakes in the world, right like 10 centimeters from my friend's foot. And I'm like, dude, fucking leg it. And it's just fucking like that shit scares me. I can't look like seeing those things. But it's also like I guess it's a fear in the sense of it's not irrational because it's a legit fear of a deadly animal that I can see and regularly see.
Yeah, but if you're scared of like just looking at them, like if it freaks you out to look at it,
It freaks me out to look at it. I don't like looking at it either. Like it freaks me out. Like spiders, zero issues with spiders.
See, they just oh god, they freak me out so much.
Like
I just oh.
I don't want them in my house, but like in Australia, like you might have a deadly spider. But usually the deadly spiders are quite small, other than like funnel webs. They're beastly. Not that I've ever even seen a funnel web in person, to be fair. But you got like huntsmans that would be the size of like my hand, like with their.
Oh god, I can't
my,
I can't do it.
I've got my
That's
hand up
not
on the
good.
camera, so like it would be the size with its legs out. It would be if not
That is
some of them could be
disgusting.
bigger than that, like the side of their hand. So, but that's just what it is. Like you grow up with that, so it's normal. Robin, do you have any phobias or fears?
No. I mean, I'm not terribly great with spiders either, I guess, but it's nothing too bad. But other than that, not that I know, really.
Oh, shit.
And
Well,
I guess you wouldn't have
fearless.
many. You wouldn't have many spiders or big ass spiders where you live.
No,
either, right?
no, just the usual small ones in the house, and that's basically it. No, actually, oddly enough, like back in the days when I was a kid, I always wanted to be like a pilot or something, right? So I loved heights, but I do find that these days, actually, like, you know, I get more and more scared of heights, and I don't understand where that comes from, but yeah. Yeah, that's basically it.
Interesting.
What is I try to understand a fear of heights. I guess like, what is it about the heights? Is it scary when you're on those heights? Or
Yeah,
is it like
I
the
guess it's just the fear of like falling to your death. That's basically it, right? Yeah, like standing on these huge buildings or something, or like even though you know that you're safe or relatively safe, you know. Like I would go to like Lithuania or something to visit my ex-girlfriend back in the days, and like we go on these crazy sort of watchtowers and stuff like that. But they're built, I mean, well, if you know anything about like Eastern Europe and Russia and Lithuania and all these countries, like the buildings aren't exactly built the most stable. At least they don't appear all that stable always. So like those watchtowers and things like that, yeah, I never really felt quite safe on them, but it was quite high, so I just never felt too comfortable on those. But yeah.
right.
Yeah. I found the name of this phobia for underwater big things. It's
But
I can't
underwater big
pronounce
things.
it.
That's the fear. Is that what it's called? It's called underwater.
It's called. Okay, hang on. It's called megalohydro thalassophobia.
You guys are fucking weird.
The pictures on this Reddit are awful, and I hate it. It's like this little man next to like the turbine of like a huge ship that's underwater. It's freaking me out.
I remember what this is. So, Robin, this is how they explained it to me. I now remember how they explained it to me.
All right.
We're at dinner, and George and James are talking about how scary it would be to be underwater, and there's a big thing there. I'm like, wait, hang on, can you just go back for a second? What do you mean by a big thing? And they're just
Big
like,
thing, man.
well,
It's
if
a
you
big
imagine
thing.
you're just like in this huge body of water, and you're underwater, and there's a big whale that shows up. It's like, when in your life will you ever be there to worry about that? Like,
That's
why?
why it's irrational, man. It's never gonna happen.
Wait, but so you actually think about that like regularly,
That's
or what?
why I think it's that's
Not
why I think it's weird. Why do you
regularly,
even
but-
think about it? How did it become? A
How
fear that
often?
you
I
thought
don't
about?
know. Only if it's like brought up. Like I don't think of it. Like I could probably go like months not thinking about it. But like if George were to bring it up, I'd be like, I don't like it.
All right.
But like I don't know. I don't know where it came from or why we both have it or like the same scenarios. It's weird. I don't know. I guess we must have discussed it when we were kids.
Yeah.
and just like talked about things that would be like, I don't know. That is weird. I really don't know where it came from, but it really freaks me out.
That's hands down the strangest legitimate fear I've ever talked about in a conversation.
Let me give you this one. This one's a bit weirder, I think. Maybe not, because maybe there's genuine danger involved and it's like something you would deal with. But Ben, Modorox Ben, has a fear, like a phobia of crossing the road.
Wait, hang on a second.
You better never go outside then.
What do you mean?
This is a thing he told us. He has a phobia
I've crossed the road with him before, so I don't know. He's not that afraid of it.
No, but he's told us this the thing. He has a phobia of crossing the road.
A phobia of crossing the road.
Yeah. Like, I guess he thinks like maybe a car's gonna come out of nowhere and get him. I don't know. You have to talk to him about it.
That's what he said, though. Bizarre.
Oh man.
And I've crossed the road with him before.
I've crossed the road with him too, I think.
Definitely.
I'm sure we have. Yeah.
Definitely.
On
a night out in Northampton.
He was crossing the road. He was really terrified. You never knew.
Wow. Imagine, like, he's just sweating. Like, he's like, oh, boys, make sure we go to the traffic lights. Like, what? Why there's no cars?
Make sure we go
and also,
to the
there's
traffic
no
lights.
traffic lights anywhere. He's like, yeah, there's one like 2Ks up the road. It's like, well, fuck. Yeah, that's a weird one. That's a weird one. I can't, yeah. Snakes, that's the only thing I'm, like, freaked out by. That's the only thing I'm freaked out by. But, like, I grew up around them all the time. But then again, I feel like I'm not as scared of spiders because I grew up around spiders. Whereas, like, I grew up around snakes as well. They'd be in, like, my backyard or in that. There was a baby brown snake once in my house. Like, that was the scariest one. Like, I remember turning around from my couch and there's a baby brown snake. And the thing about snakes is, it doesn't matter whether they're a baby or a full grown, they're just as poisonous. So a baby brown snake will kill you. In fact, they'll probably inject more venom in you than they need to because they don't know how to, like, properly... how much they need to use, because once they use their venom up, it takes a while for it to like sort of refuel itself in a sense, and like brown snakes and or full grown snakes tend to know how much they need to like kill their prey, but also have enough still to in reserve, whereas a baby will just fucking throw it all in you. So you if anything, it can kill you faster. So and that was like, I was like, I think it was at my parents' house, and I was like, I can't wait to leave. I can't wait to leave. And I was just like, all right, Mum, Dad, I'm going home. Fuck this.
God, snakes are the weirdest, like, evolved creatures. Like, they're so deadly and, like, so, like, good at what they do, fucking, like, murdering people. But they're just, like, this, like, fucking slither. Like, they look like a fucking belt. They're just, like, slithering along the ground. Like, what? How does that happen? How do you evolve to have, like, no legs and just be that good at shit?
They look like a stick. Like, they look like a stick. And that's why I stepped, like on last week, I stepped on one. I was walking because there's sticks on the ground. And then
how did it not bite you?
Did
you step on its head?
It was we were walking and it was sunbaking. And then we were just walking. So it kind of probably heard us coming. And when we're hiking, we'll, like, do quite heavy steps, depending on what sort of area you're in. And especially once we hit this area that was a bit more sunny, you sort of know this time of year is when snakes sort of coming out of hibernation. So you'll step real heavy because you want them to know you're coming, so they sort of move. That's, you know, your heavy step, so the snakes sort of know you're coming because they feel the vibrations. That's sort of how they hear, is those like ground vibrations. So for whatever reason, this little thing was sunbaking and sort of, because he was quite a small, like this, the one I stepped on was like a baby-ish one. Whereas the later one we saw was full grown, so it knew we were coming. It was like, I know what's happening, I'm getting out of here. Whereas the baby one was probably just sunbaking, going like, oh, I feel some vibrations, whatever. And then I stepped on it, and it sort of just freaked out too. It was sort of like, what the fuck? And then I literally, like, because I looked down, because I sort of saw something in my peripherals move. I looked down at my feet, and this snake sort of just, because I stepped on its sort of back tail part, and it sort of like head just sort of jumped up, like freaked out. It was just scared shitless too. And then I like literally like a cartoon jumped up in the air, somehow running in the air, and then just fucking sprinted. My phone flies out my pocket, and my mate David's just like laughing at me, like, bro, that thing was. He's like, I'm like, what was it? Fucking what happened? And he goes, it just ran off because it was more scared. Well, he goes, usually it would be more scared of the person, but then it's you, so you were way more fucking scared. Oh, I was so terrified. It was this little fucking baby snake. And it was camo green. It was like a green tree snake. Probably not even poisonous. But that fucking brown snake. Fuck, man. Like, it was more scary seeing a brown snake than stepping on a green tree snake. Like, that by far. Like, I was like, and we were right half, it was a 5-hour hike. So we're like halfway into it. And, knowing that, we're halfway now. So we have to go all the way back anyway. There's no, like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I need to go. I can't I'm not dealing with fucking snakes. It's like, I still have to go back. The only way to the car is to go back.
But so Tyler, hearing all of this, I imagine Bog Snacks must be your most anticipated game, right?
I'm gonna say fucking no.
It's definitely my most anticipated game. I can't wait.
Oh god.
I thought I recognized your voice in it too.
Yeah, no, no, I'm all set. I'm all fucking set. No, I can't,
right.
Dude. I legit can't do snakes. Hey? I can't do them. Yeah. I'll just leg it. I want to be as far away from those things as possible. As much as I love going out and hiking, I love the wilderness. I love climbing mountains and shit. Like, I love that. But snakes ruin it. But you got to face it. Like, and that's what I said. Like, I was saying this to Dave. It's like, dude, I'm scared shitless, but I'm not letting it make me not hike and not go out. Like, I'm not letting that happen. I've still
imagine you never left your house because you were so scared of like maybe seeing a snake.
Well, you have so many fears. I freak out that's why you will never leave your house. I'm like, you
don't worry.
One day you'll be scared of crossing the road too, and then it'll be just a fucking nightmare.
Don't worry. This is why I live in the middle of my country, so I never come into contact with a large body of water. So I'm safe. All the way in here.
I remember your mum going, James, you need to take Tyler to the beach. You need to take him to the coast. And you're like, nah, yeah, maybe. And we never
Mostly because the English fucking coast is the worst place and you never want to go there.
Yeah, I'm like, all I'm thinking about is like, yeah, I bet the beaches here are awesome compared to what I'm used to.
Yeah, the English beaches, you'd love them. You'd be like, wow, I never want to go home, ever.
Yeah, I'm all set. I got all the beaches I need right here in England and not
It's all
Australia.
pebbles and stones, grass, and like cans of beer that have been crushed up and thrown on the ground. So,
I love that. And cold weather. Like, I love that.
Yeah, cold weather. Yeah. If you touch the sea, you just freeze. It's incredible, really.
I love it.
Unmissable experiences.
That's brilliant. Anyway, this has been the strangest tangent, but I loved it.
How do we get there even?
We're talking about VR and then
right.
the haunted
Horror
houses and just honestly, like, but honestly, the thing about James is he has so many fears, but I actually love that he has so many fears because it's funny for me.
I can imagine.
So, like, it just gives me so many ideas in my head of like pranks I can pull on him. Like, I used to threaten before I went. The last time I went over, I was talking about bringing like a big toy spider, and just hiding it everywhere, and just being around the corner with the camera. It really
we
would
wouldn't have been friends anymore. I would have left the podcast.
Yeah,
that'd be my breaking point.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna do.
No way.
Yeah. When I'm over in the UK next, I'm gonna fuck with you pretty bad, and I want to go into like some sort of haunted house.
Well, that's it. I'm going to have to pull some snake shit, and you're going to be thinking you're hallucinating. You'll be like, what the fuck, there's no snakes here. But
yes, and see, that...
I'm going to get a real one.
I think that's... Yeah, but the only real one you're going to get over there would be like a python, and they're not going to freak me out, because they're not venomous. The venomous snakes scare me.
I'm going to find a brown snake. I'm going to find one.
I'm
going to let it loose. wherever you
If you let loose a brown snake, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Oh, you're gonna... Well, you won't have a chance because you'll be dead, so...
Yeah, true.
Then who'll be laughing?
You'll get your hands on a venomous brown snake. I bet you won't be scared of that at all.
No, I'll be wearing gloves and everything. I'll be alright. I'll hold it by its neck and its tail. That's what you're meant to do, right?
If I saw you hold a snake, I would be so impressed.
I'll get one of those fork things they use where you put it around its neck and you're like... You know, it's going all bloody mental, but you're like, no, don't worry. I've got a fork around your neck, so... Yeah. You're okay.
And then you let it loose, like, you know, in my room. And I just, like,
I put it through a hole that I drill in the door.
Yeah, dude. As long as you film it, I'm okay with you doing that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So it can be released on YouTube and money be made. That's ultimately what it's about. You can do anything to me as long as you film it.
It's all about the views.
It's all about the views. Like, I really don't care what you do. Whatever prank you want to pull, do it as long as you film it and then release it and monetize it. That's all that matters. It's about the views, it's about the money. Because ultimately, I don't care about this or you. You're a product to me, and it's all about, like,
It's about the YouTube grind.
It's about the YouTube grind.
Yeah.
You know, humans aren't. Yeah, there's only monetary value to humans. I don't actually see them as people. So,
This fucking human trafficking shit. Jesus Christ.
Anyway, back to games. What other games was at this
Gaming.
PlayStation event? There was Hogwarts Legacy, this Harry Potter game. James, I know you're hyped as shit about that. Are you a Harry Potter fan, Robin?
Sadly, I was for quite a while, quite heavily. Yeah. No, I read like all the books several times when I was a kid, when I was like 10 years old or something, 12 years old, and watched all the movies, played the games. Yeah, no, I had like a whole like 5 to 10 year long Harry Potter phase that I was in. So I still know like a lot, obviously, but yeah, kind of like obviously the last. Well, I guess you have those. What are they called? Those other movies now, the new ones, the.
Fantastic Beasts.
Right. I've never seen those, but like, because I've been kind of out of it, but I guess that's still going on. Yeah, I heard that actually. That I'm not meant to be that great, but I've been kind of out of it, like I said. So, but actually, this game, I mean, dude, Harry Potter still has a universe that lends itself really well for a good game, though, and so I think this definitely has potential, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to dive back in, I guess. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, James? You're obviously pretty fucking hyped.
So fucking hyped. I love Harry Potter so much, and this is a game like it's a game that I've wanted for so long. Like I said, it's in my video like years ago. Like people would ask me like, if there was one like franchise you get turned into like a full on like big game, like what would you want? Like talking like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, stuff like that. I'm like, Harry Potter is a universe that should have had a game like this by now. Like when you look at some of the old games, like Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince are the ones that stand out to me the most as like sort of a fully realized world, like where you can explore the whole of Hogwarts and it's depicted just like it looks in the movie, and like that was so cool to me. And so I was always like, it feels like they should have had a big budget AAA Harry Potter game by now, but they hadn't done it, and it was something I always wanted to see. So finally seeing this properly announced and like seeing what it looks like and everything, I'm so ready for this. It's such a good time period as well, like detaching it from the the original story of Harry Potter and being like, yeah, we're set in the 1800s. Like that's such a cool setting as well for like wizards and magic and shit. So yeah, I'm so fucking ready for this. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, James, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan at all.
Yeah, but you hate everything, so.
I do hate everything.
Except for God of War.
Except for God of War. And Horizon.
Yeah, those are the two things that you like.
Whereas I hate everything, that's true.
Yeah.
No, like I read all the books as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like the first book, my mum read the first book to me. I was like 4 years old, 5 years old. Like it was like 99, 2000 when they were like first out, before the movies or anything. And I remember seeing the first one at cinemas and stuff. Like I used to love it when I was little. But I think the older I got in the later movies, I just wasn't into it. Like, I saw all the movies and stuff, and I was just sort of like, yeah, whatever. It's not really... I didn't enjoy those later movies, I guess. Whereas the early movies I really liked. And especially, like, Chamber of Secrets. The first 3 were my favourite books and movies. And the PlayStation 2 Chamber of Secrets game, I loved. So I'm trying to think... When I look at this game, I'm trying to think back to the PS2 Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets game. And be like, if it's anything like that in a modernized version, I'm excited. Like the idea of playing it would be fun, and it's its own story. I'll give the game a shot. For sure. But I'm not sure what's going on with what the fuck's going on with this J.K. Rowling controversy shit. Why is everyone upset about this? I've literally totally missed this.
That's a huge fucking can of worms.
But that whole thing is kind of overblown, though. Like, you see some people... I mean, I saw, like, some people, especially in the industry, like, games journalists mention that. Like, you got Jason Schreier, I don't know if you know him, but, like, he was...
Yeah, we know him. Well, we know him.
Yeah, he was so smugly tweeting a couple of weeks ago, like, oh, seems like a really bad time to announce a Harry Potter game. And then, like, all the people in the comments, like, yeah, they're gonna get so much shit, this and that. But then you look at the trailer and it's, like, 100,000 likes, 2,000 dislikes. Nobody gives a shit at the end of the day. They just want a good Harry Potter game, you know?
Yeah, because who the fuck cares what J.K. Rowling says?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, who
Is she
really
involved
cares?
in the game at all?
She's not, no.
I mean,
Then
she'll
why-
get
then-
royalties,
then-
but
Of
Yeah,
course she'll
course,
get
but,
money,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, but then again, like, it would be weird to, like, if you don't like J.K. Rowling, the person, why you'd be like, fuck a Harry Potter game. Like, it's like if something came out about, like, J.R.R. Tolkien, and then you didn't like the Lord of the Rings Amazon show they do. It's like, well, Tolkien's been dead since the 70s, so I don't know why you're upset with the Amazon show they're doing.
I guess
like,
J.K.
it's just-
Rowling's not dead, so... so
So
this...
this-
So that, like... I
Yeah,
don't
this
know.
Harry Potter game that has nothing to do with her and she's not involved in making.
They just
They
don't
hate-
want to give her money.
I don't
That's-
even like
that's
what did she do? Like
I'm
some
still trying to figure that
transphobic
out.
thing?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. I like, to a certain extent I get it, but to another extent I'm like, I don't get it. It's a weird one. Like, but it's not just like, you know, one side of politics though. It's been both sides when you think about it. Like, she's just an insane person, sort of.
Yeah,
like,
she is a
at
bizarre
this point
person.
she's upset, like, you know, majority, like, obviously this is generalizing, like, I'm trying not to get into politics because I don't want to go
Yeah.
down that fucking route again, but like
we won't.
she upset like a majority, like, you know, left-leaning people this time.
Right.
But prior to that, she'd upset a lot of people on the other side of the
Yeah.
spectrum before, when there was that whole thing, because she went like fucking crazy down that route, talking about like how to deal with refugees, and like saying like, oh, we should be housing the refugees, but then she's not, and she's got like 15 mansions or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I
it's like,
remember
okay,
that.
you
That's-
fucking hypocrite.
yeah.
And then you've got like the whole thing with PewDiePie where she was saying that he was a Nazi.
Oh my God.
She really went in on that, and that was wild.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that.
And now she's people are mad at her for being transphobic or whatever. And I'm not sure exactly what she said, but people aren't too happy with her about that. So
Right. So is that what that then people are then mad at the Harry Potter game for that because of
yeah.
Okay.
They just don't want to give anything to J.K. Rowling. They're like,
Yeah,
if I
right,
buy this
okay.
game, you're supporting her. You're supporting a transphobe. That makes you a transphobe.
Or is it also
so-
like people? Is it sort of just ruined Harry Potter for some people as well? They loved Harry Potter, but now it's like sort of ruined for them. I just
think
feel
some
like
I guess.
people, yeah.
Yeah.
try to like if you really enjoy something, try to separate the art from the artist in that way.
Oh, I did
But,
that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could still very much enjoy Harry Potter. I don't think about J.K. Rowling at all.
Yeah.
But to me, I have no problem with like people saying like, "Oh, I don't like J.K. Rowling, so I don't want to support this game." I mean, fine, that's their personal
Yeah,
choice. It's more about
it's
like telling
fine.
other people that
For
they
sure.
are wrong for like buying the game and looking forward to the game.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude, let everybody
Yeah.
make
Sure.
that choice for themselves individually. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like, if someone chooses not to buy the game because they disagree and they don't want to support J.K. Rowling, totally fair to make that decision for yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You can do
you
that.
don't want to tell other people they can't.
Yeah.
As well. So
Yeah, don't villainize others because they want to play the game. They're not bad people because they want to play a Harry Potter game. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
yeah, but I mean, overall, I mean, the game wise, outside of any of those things, the game looks quite interesting. Even for me, who's not a Harry Potter fan. It looks like it'd be a fun time to go around Hogwarts and like learn spells and shit.
Surrounding
and,
areas
you know,
and stuff. Go to
Yeah.
Hogsmeade. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah. So, no, that's exciting. That's exciting. What was the other major game at this event was Final Fantasy 16 got
Ooh.
a trailer.
Oh,
And
boy.
there was rumors that this would be revealed, and it was. Are you a Final Fantasy fan, Robin?
No, not really. I mean, I like the 7 remake that came out just this year. I enjoyed that, but like other than that, I've never really been much into Final Fantasy. I played a little bit of like 15, but yeah, I don't know. It's not really my franchise, so I honestly don't have too much to say about it.
Yeah, I've only the first one. I like a diehard Kingdom Hearts fan since I was a kid, since the first game. But the first Final Fantasy I've ever played is the 7 remake, and I've only just started. I'm only 5 hours in. I love it so far, so I've really enjoyed it so
Yeah, that's
far.
good.
But
Oh, my God. It gets so much better.
this is my
Yep.
first experience with Final Fantasy, so I'm the same. I don't have any opinion of it. But James, I know you do. What's your thoughts on Final Fantasy
Yeah.
16?
I've never, like I've said this, I'm not a huge Final Fantasy veteran or anything, but like you, I fucking love Kingdom Hearts, and Final Fantasy VII Remake is easily one of my favorite games I've ever played. I played 15 when that came out. I can see the flaws with it. I understand why people were so disappointed with that game. Like, I do get it, but I enjoy it as a game. I think it's good. I think it's got a lot of heart. Themes are really good. I really like the characters and stuff. And so I'm just excited after being so into Kingdom Hearts and then playing 7 Remake and seeing what Final Fantasy can be and like the way they can make these games. Going into 16 and seeing what they learned from 15, knowing what they did wrong, how they can improve on that, and maybe make like a really, really quality game. And like the setting looks so cool. Like they're going like full medieval, whereas most Final Fantasy games, at least from what I've seen, aren't that. They're like fantasy mixed with sort of like the modern era or whatever. And it's always cool, but like this setting looks so fucking awesome with like knights and fucking shit, like the fucking riding chocobos into a battle and shit. That's so fucking cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for this, and hopefully it delivers on everything that makes a good Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer looked cool. I think the Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts trailers, whenever there's the cinematic style trailers, they always look very cool. So watching, I was like, this looks awesome. And if Final Fantasy VII is as good as you say it is, and I've enjoyed it a lot so far, but once I finish it, I'm sure I'll love it. I think I'll probably be quite interested to play 16. So this will be the first like new Final Fantasy I'll play, which will be quite cool.
Yeah.
So that's definitely another interesting one. Was there any other major games that we haven't talked about that you wanted to from this PlayStation event?
Spider-Man? Do we talk about Spider-Man?
Oh no, we did not talk about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, man. Sorry. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, we got a full demo, which was I say full demo, like it was a short demo, but it was cool. I really liked it. I think it showcased the PS5, sort of what it can do and stuff. Like you saw a lot of destruction and stuff, like when they were just sort of generally fighting, a lot of nice little particle effects and stuff. Like it looked really nice, and animations were super clean. Direction of where they were going with Miles was cool, and also you see like how they've changed sort of New York a little bit. From like the buildings and architecture and stuff, how it looks a little bit like there's a lot more detail going on there, which is nice. So they've clearly redesigned bits of New York for this, which is cool. So yeah, overall I think it looked really nice, really solid, and Spider-Man was good. So I'm sure this will be as well. Did
they give a release date? Is it coming out launching with the
the
PS5
of November?
Did you hear about all like the whole pricing thing and the backwards compatibility stuff with the original game? Like how they do that? It's kind of it's kind of a big controversy now because like basically if you want to play the original Spider-Man, right? So the 2018 PS4 Spider-Man, upgraded on PS5 with like all the new like a higher frame rate and better textures and everything like that, you will have to pay for I think the 70 or 80 euro version of Spider-Man. Or Miles Morales, basically. Basically the game itself is like 50, I think, or something like that. And then you can also get the Ultimate Edition for 70 or 80, and that one comes included with the original Spider-Man remastered. So they are essentially selling you sort of a patch for the game with like some slight upgrades, and you are basically forced then to pay like full price for it, which is kind of like seems kind of shitty to some people, because there are other games like, for example, Cyberpunk, where they promise you like, oh yeah, all the PS5 upgrades and stuff, we'll just patch those in for free and you'll just get those, whereas other publishers choose to like make you pay once again for those games, treating it like they're like different versions when they're really just like updates for the game, basically, right? So yeah, some people feel kind of dull about that.
They're just performance enhancers, like it's
mostly
bizarre to. Yeah, it's bizarre to recharge full price or even close to full price for older games on a new generation, like it's a new thing when it's not at all.
But that is the whole confusing thing about their message, is that they are saying like, yeah, we believe in generations, this and that, and so therefore we're also now going to make you, we're also going to charge you to get different versions, different generation versions for these games. Whereas at the same time, they're also like, oh yeah, but we're still putting the games on the PS4, and like the message itself is kind of two-sided. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a strange one. It's a strange one. I'm not sure how to feel about it. I think those publishers that are choosing for those free upgrades to the next generation, I think that's the way to go. Like, in my opinion, you've bought the game once. Why should I have to buy a Miles Morales again because I didn't get my PS5 on launch, but I wanted to play the game on launch? You know what I mean? Like, I pre-ordered my PS5, but I might not get it till bloody December, January. But then, what, do I have to wait till then to play Miles Morales? Or if I just decide to buy it on the PS4, do I then have to pay full price again to get it on the PS5 that just because you didn't have enough on launch? Like, well, that's insane to me.
Yeah. But I'm also a little, at the same time, I was kind of hopeful that almost all the big games would be receiving these kinds of patches. But with the fact that it seems like now a lot of them will want to kind of charge you for it, I wonder if they're even going to bother with it. Like, it's not like there's many games I want to replay enhanced, because I'd rather just stick to, like, actual new PS5 games. But, for example, I mean, Uncharted 4, I want to replay that in, like, 60 frames a second, as a fan of the series, of course. You have the other 3 games that are 60 frames and they run so well, and then Uncharted 4 kind of pales in comparison, right, with the 30 frames per second. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I want to get that 60 frames, and I also love doing speedruns for it, which is kind of shitty because the game itself is like 4 hours to get through in a speedrun. But then there is also, like, I kid you not, about 45 minutes to an hour of loading times in between that you always have to get through. So that's something that they could patch, right? They can use the SSD and get completely rid of those load times, and it would make the game so awesome for those speedruns that I love doing for it. But yeah, I'm just like hoping that they're actually going to go ahead with it. It would be shitty to charge for it, but hey, I'd be down, I guess, if it's the only, because it's the only game that I would want to do it for anyway, or that I would want to play anyway. But I just hope they do it, because now I'm just wondering, like, are they going to? We're 2 months away and we haven't heard anything about games being optimized except for Spider-Man and a couple upcoming ones like Cyberpunk. That's literally it, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true that.
And there would also be Bloodborne, for example. That's like a fan favorite where, Bloodborne runs terribly on the PS4. As great of a game as it is, it's like 30 frames and it has like strange frame pacing issues, so it always feels very choppy. That's the type of game that people would love to be able to play in 60 frames for the ultimate kind of Souls-like experience, right? And so we're just not hearing anything about these games. That's the concerning part. So I wonder if they're going to do it or not.
Yeah, I just want to be able to play my PS4 games on the PS5. That's all. That's all I want to do. I already own them. I just want to be able to play them. I don't care if they're upgraded or better or patched.
True, but it should be relatively easy. It should be relatively easy to just for the developers to just kind of like flip the switch and unlock the frame rates and just, have those games make use of the additional hardware. I'm pretty sure, because it is the same architecture, and it's, we saw it with the PS4 Pro kind of already, how developers could just make like quick patches for these games and actually unlock the frame rates and stuff. The same should be possible with the PS5, but yeah.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Yeah, you'd hope so. Hopefully they talk about it or they do something, because that would be good. That would be good. I'd like to see it.
For sure. Well, I think that is everything from the PS5 event, and with that, we will wrap up this episode of the As Always podcast. Robin, thank you so much for once again joining us. You're a fan favorite.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're one of our favorite guests. Always awesome to talk to, especially with an event like this. Really cool to break it down with you and to, for some reason, talk about phobias of whales.
Yeah, that's what we like.
So yeah, until next time, thank you again for joining us.
Sure thing, man.
Like, really appreciate it.
Sure thing.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to give us a 5-star review on all those places: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, everywhere you can listen to us, and thumbs up on YouTube on the video version. Let us know what you thought, and head over to patreon.com/as always for just $1 a month.
Yes,
you can support us and get exclusive access to the best podcast on the internet, the Clubhouse podcast. There's over 90 episodes you can stream at will once you pay that little $1, plus lots of other cool bonus perks and rewards you can get, as well as early access to videos and the Cinema and Podcast Spoilercast podcast. So thank you to the sweet vintage lads over there that are helping power the show. So let's go through these credits, which is the $5 tier and up. We have King Richard III, Josh, Duh Vil Yay, Damian, Olberik, Avry Dobbs, Cat94, Nick the Gaming Prick, Real Cinema, Colton the Creampie King, Ballsack47, Casey Wood, Pink Flame 313, Lumistrad, Mario 5380, Fuck You Logan Paul, Uga Booga, Chinga Wooga, Tuga, Muga, Luga, Suga, Vuga Puga, Ruga Suga, Zuga, Yuga Duga, Jesper Olsen, Kimasaba Gamma Cream Bias, Seth, Kevin Bond, Sicarius aka Kieran, Henry, Justin, Aragorn, Skyro G, Adam Sunling, T-Man or Travis, BQ Overlord the Elder, Son of a Bitch, OG Adogo, Ravjai, Gene, Joshua Mora, Brian Ford is playing The Witcher 1 for the first time and loving it, Joe the Sexy Boy Smith, S. Jaws, Emil Catborg, Benedict Klobbers, Furious Coco, Noah Watts, Fishy, Ginkgo Swag, Master Bass, Max H, Luca, Winona Ryder, aka Lindsay from Destination Wedding, Joe the Lioness, Charming, Arse-eating, Coke-snorting, Cat-killing, Founded Scarab, aka The First Eagle, This is Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, Kassassin, The Creed, Nick Miller, deep breath, Owen Brain, Walshy, Josh J. Anderson, Hey, It's Fair Use Man, Smexy Dog, Gwen Hughes, Evan Brown, Radok, Nice Cock Bro, Fat Fuck Cuck, I'm not moving on from Rocket Man, Victor Lyson, Bleeding Edge 274, Marky is shit and gay and I hate it, just call me Ben Higgins, No Mojo, Philip Stillwagon, Jack DJ 1998, Gimme a Penis, Marcus aka Blackburn, Frankie Gaffney, Mag aka the guy who makes his own Assassin Christmas, Kyle, The Swan Swam Over the Sea, Swim Swan Swim, The Swan Swam Back Again, Well Swum Swan, Greeny's Weenie, Jess Notter, Liam, Andy Cure, Saul Goodman, Riley Reed, The Blue Cow, AC Landmarks, Harrisy aka Bad Assassin, Alexander, La Dee Da Dee Da, Slob on My Knob, Game of Vids, Star Explorer, Rainy Not Sunny, Blake Lloyd, Louis De Leon, Lady Litzomania, Zeke Collins, Jack is Upset, The James Ruin Gaming, Tristan Obigfell, Evan the Kitty Did Get Cucked by Ed Sheeran, Angel of Harlem, Big Dick 666999, Zeppo, Morgan Macac, Falcon, Casey Wild, we're almost there guys, Anonymous 1K, Josh the Second, and Christian 0210. Thanks you sweet bitches, that's helping power this podcast. Jesus fucking Christ, that list is ever growing, and Robin, that's why we changed it. We changed from last time you were on, where we only read it at the end. We used to read it at the start. We just do our producers at the start and the credits at the end, so it's just a little easier to get through than having to listen to that fucking bullshit list twice. Especially with all the animal names that are on there, these fucking savages that pay us money to say
long.
Bullshit.
I can't wait for next month. It's going to be even longer.
Yeah, every month it's just that little bit longer.
And you can contribute to making it longer by heading over to patreon.com/as-always and dropping $5 or more. You'll be on the list. What more could you want than being on the list?
And breaking our spirits, especially James's. He'll want to quit podcasts even more than he already does.
Every time I hit that list, I just want to stop doing podcasts for the rest of my life. So add to that existential anxiety I deal with every day.
Yeah, and then Robin will replace him. So if anything, if you want Robin to be on more,
if you want me to get half the Patreon money, then please.
Yeah, exactly. And which will be even more, because to break James, we're going to need to improve that list a bit. So so grow the list, break James, and then you'll get Robin as the co-host of the podcast in the future. So that's how we go. So do it.
That's how it works. We promise.
Anyway, once again, thank you, Robin. James, as always, thank you for being my co-host and joining me today. And we will see you all next week, this same time, for the Clubhouse Podcast exclusive patreon.com/as always. Guys, do you have any videos coming out the next week or anything going on that they should know about?
PlayStation 5 video, youtube.com/RobinGaming.
Perfect.
There you go. Bloody, what am I doing? I'm trying to work on a video for this Outer Worlds DLC, but my next big project is the Hearts of Stone retrospective, coming out on October the 16th, I believe. So, and 24 hours early on Patreon. So,
amazing.
Be ready for that.
And I've got I'll be streaming Horizon Zero Dawn again this week, and I've got a Fable video as well coming out. So, all right.
That's great.
Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you all next time. Goodbye.
See you later, boys.
Bye bye.